All right, all right, all right. Welcome back to Star Trek Strange New Worlds, where we are reviewing season 3, and we are at the season finale. The season finale. We are almost close to the end of the series, people. We got two more seasons. Two more seasons. But we are still on season 3, where we are going to review the last episode, episode 10. Once again, welcome back to the Unpopular Black Gamer. I am your host, the Unpopular Black Gamer, aka Dante. And I'm always here with my boy Patrick. Say hello.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I know you can't answer back, so I'll answer for you. I'm tired. We're gonna lead off with that. So if somehow I'm not my usual self for the finale, just know that I have come many, many miles to do this episode today.
And I know we are behind. We are broadcasting this on the Sunday after the Sunday where the episode 10 drops, September 21st. So I know we're a little behind, but life be lifing, as we will always say. So we
And
had
this
to
one
take
was in a good direction. I,
it
I had,
was.
yeah, I had family time. A little bit of an unexpected family time, but a positive one. People came in from out of town. Person came in from out of town. So yeah, I'm
And
not trying to out my whole life out here, but yeah.
well, we're always on the side of when life's, we have to live it. So this is nothing but a side project to us. This isn't our day to day job. So this is just something that we just like to do on the side.
Yeah.
So
If you ever do monetize it, then I'll just have to figure out how to stay on schedule.
that will probably be difficult on both our ends.
Well, you need a backlog at some point, something
We
to
would.
roll when we're not able.
Exactly. But we're going to discuss the last episode of season 3 today, entitled New Life and New Civilizations, which I thought was a very interesting title. Um,
Yeah, where do you think that's from? No, I'm joking.
I don't know, Patrick. It's almost like I've never heard that one before.
What an interesting phrase. You think Zeph from Cochrane said that?
In Star Trek First Contact.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, this
Well, they played it
episode,
in the Enterprise first episode.
did they? Oh,
Yeah, I think
no,
they.
they did. They did. You're
Mhm.
right. You're right. Darn it, dang! I have to do a rewatch of that. I
We'll
don't.
get to it.
I don't know if I'll do that anytime soon though, because that's the first two seasons. Man, whew.
And quite frankly, you love the third season more than I do, even though the third season does get good.
The third season was great. There was a lot of great episodes that occurred in the third season, even in the fourth season too. But the third season of Enterprise was probably the better of the four. But granted, the first two episodes of Enterprise will never. I mean, the first two seasons of Enterprise will never compete with the first two seasons of Picard. So
The last episode of Enterprise could compete with Picard.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Still, still better than Picard seasons 1 and 2 though. But anywho, I'll probably come back to be upset with what I just said. Uh, okay, so this was a bit of an interesting one. This episode, and I'm just going to state off bat that I'm not completely sure how to feel. Spoiler alert: I did not. I don't hate the episode. I want to throw that out there. I still think that the episode was good. I'm just not sure exactly where to rate it, and I have a placeholder rating in my head that may go up and down based on this discussion.
Yeah, I have a. I'm going to call it a placeholder as well. When I wrote it, I didn't think of it as much of a placeholder.
Hmm.
Um, but behind the scenes talking to your brother offline, and all that stuff. I'm like, I need to, as a judge might say, I need to hear arguments about this before I solidify my opinion, because it has its weaknesses for sure, but
It
some of the
does.
emotional peaks kind of cover up for it. So one thing you should know about me is that I really love the show Westworld. I don't know if you ever watched it on.
I have
Uh,
not.
yeah, and what would happen in Westworld is that the story would be like razor thin and contrived at times, and things would just be like the plot would just be hanging on by a thread, but the themes and the overall impression, you know, it was very impressionistic. Like
Mm,
that it gave you was like, oh, it's making me feel the right things, even though if I
hmm
think about it too hard, I'm gonna be like, what? What is that? Wait, what? Why did it
I
have to work out that way?
I
Like,
will
yeah,
agree with this that there was one part in this episode that like truly tugged at my heartstrings. Like it was kind of hard for it not to, and I feel like that if it didn't, that you like, dude, do you even feel?
yeah. Do you have a pulse?
that's that's my biggest thing with this. But I don't want to give the plot off too early here, so I do want to get into this review, and I'm actually kind of excited to talk about this one, seeing as how it's the series, not the series, season finale, excuse me, of season 3. So, um,
Yeah. I
mhm,
got a question for you right off the
mhm.
bat on that. Do you have a heightened sense? Your brother made me think of this question. Do you have a heightened sense of what this episode should be because it's a season finale, or is it because it could be? So there could be an argument made here that this comes in at like regular episode good, but maybe not season finale. I mean, it's good, but you know.
That's you are actually hitting on a point that I was going to make close to the end.
Oh, okay,
Uh,
you're gonna get to it later. Okay, I don't want to spoil it.
well, no. It's good that you pointed that out, because there is, especially with Strange New Worlds, the last two season finales were pretty on point. Um, so there was a certain expectation that I had there for the season finale episode. Now, you're right. If this was just a standalone episode 5, 6 episode, I probably wouldn't be as harsh on it that I'm probably about to be. Um, but the fact that it was a season finale, I mean, I also understand why it was a season finale. I guess that's the other thing that I should say too. So, you know what?
We
Let's just
are
get into it before
back and forth. We are back and forth.
I am. That's why I said I have a placeholder. Name a time that we've done one of these that I was just like, I have a placeholder in place. I don't know if I'm going to go up or down. I've never had that.
Well, you haven't had one you explicitly have called a placeholder because, and this might be just a byproduct of us doing however many episodes at this point.
Hmm.
We've both moved our scores up and down because of something that we, in fact, a couple weeks ago, I
Yeah.
think it was like
Yeah.
right at the end, you said something. I can't remember what it was exactly. And I was like, yep, I got to drop this score.
Yeah. The
He's right.
episode
I gotta drop this score.
Terrarium, episode 9,
Yeah.
where we were talking about like how it. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great, and we both were. We both. I wouldn't say we hated. We both were just like straddling that line of just like, I want to like this episode, but I kind of truly don't.
That's right. We got to the point where, like, because I talked about the refs when they throw enough flags on you, they just keep throwing
Hmm.
flags. Like, we
Hmm.
got to that point where, like, we're pointing out every plot hole, and we're like, we don't even hate plot holes, but like the rest of what was going on wasn't entertaining enough to get us to ignore it like usual. And
Exactly.
then, yeah, you said something at the end, very specifically at the very end, where I was like, I think you said something about where you rated this against other episodes, and I was
Yes.
like,
Yes, because I was
oh
looking
yeah,
at
I
the
need to,
previous episodes
yeah.
within the season, and my whole thing is like, if it's a 7, 8, 9, or 10, this is an episode that I would rewatch.
Yeah, that comment
Below
there
that
made me drop it.
seven, yeah, because seven to me is saying that okay, this is actually a pretty decent episode. Like, but when you get into the 6 and 5 category, that's when you're starting to be like, okay, there were some issues here that shouldn't have been here.
Yep, yep. So yeah. Let's see. Somehow I closed out my notes. That's
That's
not going to
unfortunate.
help us move things along. Give
I
me
have a
1 second.
I have a few things that are new for this episode that I wanted to try out. One is the ending portion of this episode. I know how we always end on a good uh, Captain Picard quote that I've grown to love, especially in my older age. It rings true. But there was another one that I've always wanted to play, but I never could get the sound bite together to do it. So we finally got that together for this particular episode. Granted, like it's a little janky how I do it, but like we're still gonna do it to close out this particular episode because it's a quote that I truly love, that I truly feel like really rings true to our older age and what we deal with within the world on a day to day basis, which is one of the main reasons why I love Star Trek the way that I do. Like especially as I've gotten older and older.
Yep. The timeless themes.
And
Yep.
there are a lot of timeless themes within Star Trek, and I'm hoping the same thing happens with Strange New Worlds as well, because they do hit on certain topics and everything, and certain things that's just like wow, like, and I'm hoping to like rewatch this probably 10 years later and just be like, wow, like that's still apt, or that's pretty apt for what the times that we're dealing with, and so on and so forth. So,
Yep. Exactly. I found it. Thank you for for giving the audience a note while I was looking for
of
it.
course, you know how I am. All right, so let's get
Okay.
into the episode.
So the recap was like everything that in the series, so you would have had to watch the series. So I didn't pick out anything to point out in the recap that you wouldn't already know.
The
Um,
recap pretty much like touched on practically every episode that happened, except for like probably two or three. But like
yeah,
just about every episode that happened this season, it touched on.
pretty much, and past seasons with the beep chair.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and then okay, so well, actually, wait, that beep chair moment was in a totally different series. That was from Discovery.
That's
Now
from
that we
Discovery.
think about it, yeah.
Well, no, no,
Uh,
no. They showed that scene in the first season, from what I can remember.
but it was originally in Discovery. He sees the beep
Originally,
chair
yes.
when he's yeah. So, but Tella started work. I guess you need to know she got promoted to being basically the chief JAG
She is
of the
the
sector.
head of the office for Starfleet.
Easy there. We don't get demonetized.
What? How
Wait,
is that?
we're not monetized. We're not
We're
monetized. I
not.
guess
But
you're on
she,
door.
what's wrong with saying the head of the Jack office?
Well, just keep saying it. That's fine. I'm not gonna stop you.
Keep going.
Yeah, she's a lead lawyer. She started work and she's returned. She's getting into her role, bunch of meetings, and she's returned to basically kind of hang out with Pike. She wants to spend
Hmm.
72 hours in the uh, in his quarters. And at that point, I would tell everybody to get out because what he's actually done is put a going away party together. So
I love
they
this going away party, by the way.
oh yeah, everyone's looking good, dressed down, casual. Of course, Scotty shows up because this is first captain's
I
dinner,
love
and
that part. Oh, I love that part. Call back from what was that, the first season or the second season? I can't
that was the
remember.
first
That
season.
was the first
Yeah,
season.
her as a cadet when Ortega's pulls that prank on her.
Yeah, yeah. So her
And of course,
does
he
it
shows
to
up in a
Scotty.
kilt and a sash. Like it's not just dress uniform. It's like
His full Starfleet cultural uniform.
exactly. So yeah, if you noticed anything in this party scene leap out, I think Pelia says something that is a Doctor Who reference because I'm like, she makes a Doctor Who reference, which I'm confused. Was that actress in Doctor Who? I didn't get a chance to look it up, but
Oh, that is a possibility. Keep going. I'll look that up.
okay. Um, and I hope you wrote this down because I didn't write it down.
Hmm.
Spock is talking about what happened in sickbay in the Gamble episode,
Hmm.
where I'll just say it. It's unfortunate, but he got unalived. He got unalived.
Hold on, wait. Are you amending it? You're amending it now? Are we?
I
We
think he.
we can keep
I think
going.
if you.
We can keep going before you finally get to that point.
I think if you wanted to, you could figure out how to bring them back. But I don't know. They seem like so behind the scenes again. When I joked with you midweek, like I'm not going to let it go. When I watched the episode, I was like, I don't even think it's going to be funny for me to to keep going. It's like I'm just going to sound deranged at this point.
This
Because
point,
here's the thing that
you're just holding on to whatever hope is still there, knowing good and damn well like that hope is gone.
well, here's the thing that got me that I didn't expect because I think if you remember when we first started joking about and betting on whether he was unalived or not,
Hmm.
I was like, oh, they could just bring him back through the transporter, rebuild his body, put his conscience back in because it's in the computer. So when they were like, oh, the evil entity did this, and now there's nothing in the computer now, I was like, ooh. That's pretty straightforward. My only method of bringing him back is totally gone.
They completely stumped on your whole idea that he might be comic book deceased. Like,
Yeah.
they completely stumped on it, destroyed it, spat on it, probably put gasoline on it and lit it up in flames.
If they bring him back at this point, it's going to be through the most contrived, which is a word I'm going to say a lot today, impractical, like, and for a character where you're going to be like, why did we go through all this trouble? He's not Spock. Like,
Exactly.
like we don't really need him back like
Kind
this.
of like
So yeah, they
the Doctor from Discovery and how they like because you could say that way of bringing him back was contrived. Like it was very beyond the pale. Like you never.
but it was
They did do it in a way that made sense to the universe that they
exactly. It was
built.
consistent with the technology they were working with, and like,
But
okay, yeah, they're
if
working with this weird stuff, and he got in the weird stuff, and
yeah,
yeah,
but if they did that for Nurse Gamble, like how would you feel?
it would. Like I said, they've taken away the easy route, and I don't think there's a good medium to hard route to go to get Gamble
Hmm.
back without him being
Hmm.
more important of a character. Like the easy route was he was in the computer fighting this Vesda person, and when he got put back together, they were both in there, and somehow they figured out how to get rid of the Vesda and left Gamble behind. That's the easy route, and the only route that I'd want them to take to bring him back. And since they didn't do it, I'm like, well, I don't want you to do anything else. Like, so that's it. It's just bad writing. Like I can't advocate for bad writing just to get Nurse Gamble back. So sorry, Gamble. You had a brief but decent run on the show. I don't know what to
So
say.
y'all heard it here. Ever since season 2, he's been holding on hope. Every episode that we made up until this point, he was just like, he's not deceased. He's not deceased. There's no way. There's no way. Like he can come back.
Wait. Season 2. This episode was only like
Oh, I'm sorry, season
4
3.
episodes ago.
I was saying episode 2. I want to say episode 2.
Okay.
Excuse me. Ever since episode 2.
It wasn't even episode 2. It was. I think we've only been dealing with this running joke for a
Oh
month.
no, he came in. No, so he came in on episode 1, and then got out
Yeah,
alive. What episode? What 4 or 5? One of those.
something like that. Yeah, I feel like it was mid season or close to mid season. I think it was mid season. I think it was episode 5 because we were like, because that was the one where like it's always like midway through these 10 episode seasons for any network where they up the stakes and uh, do some
which,
living, unaliving.
which I feel like that they can. They're probably going to do this more, especially in season 4, where they're going to introduce characters that's probably going to be like midway through. Because
I
they
hope not. That's gonna get tired.
because
Yeah.
you can't off a lot of the main cast. Number one, because they are in uh, they're on the Enterprise for the original series. But like there are certain characters that we have pointed out that just like we don't know exactly what happened to them. Una, Laan, Ortegas. Uh, so you have a select few that probably something can happen to them, but also at the same time, at this point and then at this juncture within the series, they become fan favorites. So it's almost like would would a writing team really like go that far to off one of
Well, I
those
think.
characters?
Well, I think if you remember from a couple of weeks ago, we had a bit of this conversation
Hmm.
where I think it's more creative. And I think I also complained about the MCU a little bit buying into this too much because I
Hmm.
think their fans kind of bullied them into it. I think it's not that creative when the stakes are always being alive or being unalived. Like those are not the only way to create stakes
There, yeah, there.
for characters.
I'm glad you pointed that out because there's
Yeah,
multiple things that you can do, and I think this episode did a good job of showing something like that.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So like, just because they survive it doesn't mean they won't be different. Doesn't mean they didn't go through something. Doesn't mean they
Hmm.
didn't tell a good story. So like, I don't need just a revolving door of side people with made up names just there so that the stakes can always be living or not living, right?
And
So I'm okay with just like, oh, this happened to Lon and Lon's never going to be the same as a result
and I
of it.
want to point
So
out that Nurse Gamble does not have a red shirt on. So I'm just saying.
well, it's interesting. I might have to try to find this video. Someone did actually count which shirts actually got it the most in the original series where
Oh
the whole
no!
red
Don't
shirt
tell
trope
me.
started.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was actually the blue shirts that that led the league in getting Mert on the show. So I'll have to
I feel like we're
I'll have
gonna.
to fi-
I feel like we're gonna pay attention to that more when we do the rewatch.
yeah, yeah. I imagine what probably happened is that the red shirts go out in the most catastrophic, spectacular of ways. Whereas the blue shirts might have like racked up more numbers in duller kind of ways. That's my guess on why we
Probably a lot
think
of
of
them
it as a
off
red
screen.
shirt thing.
Yeah, probably a lot of them got off screen and everything.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope you wrote this down, but at the party, Spock is talking about the incident with Gamble at sick bay, and then Battelle gets triggered by some word that said it was
Yeah, it was when
super fragilistic calidocious something or something.
Espialidocious.
Yeah,
It was basically, excuse me. It was basically when Nurse I was about to say Nurse Gamble, but it's not Nurse Gamble.
there's Chapel.
Nurse Chapel, excuse me. I don't know why I had a brain fart there. Where Nurse Chapel was talking about Doctor Boyfriend, and I used that vernacular because that's exactly what I put in my notes because I forgot his name.
Corby,
I just called him Doctor Boyfriend at this point
Dr. Boyfriend,
I
Roger
feel like
Corby.
at some point he's going to be gone and there's no point in me even remembering his name.
It's in TOS.
He's in
We
TOS.
Yeah, we talked about that way back earlier in the season.
For some reason I
Um,
can't remember that.
he's gonna eventually, because this whole thing is figuring out how to basically not have to see the Lord one day, I guess, in our terminology.
Hilarious.
So he's trying to find ways to like live forever, and I think at some point he turns to mechanics as opposed to what he's researching through the myths right now, and I think
Hmm.
he ends up being an android. Um,
Oh,
but I think
interesting.
also Chapel broke off the engagement that they were in at some point before that. So like I don't know. Uh, what's the uh, woman version of an F boy of a player? What do we go? What do we? Okay, wait a minute. Don't answer that. I'm sure
I'm
it's
not.
going to be something
I'm not.
viciously disrespectful.
I'm
Is
not.
there a
Because I feel like,
respectful word
no, there is
for a
no
woman?
respectful word. There is
Okay.
no respectful word for F boy for a female. No, there is.
You know, patriarchy and misogyny take the fun out of like everything. It's like, good grief, can't have fun with anything
Because,
because some
there are
old
F
dude
boys
in a
on both
powdered
sides.
wig.
I mean, let's be
Exactly.
real. There's F boys on both sides. There are men that can definitely be F boys. There are women that can also be F boys. Like I've dated a few of them, unfortunately. So, like that title is mutually exclusive. I mean, it's not mutually exclusive. I should say. Uh, but yeah, to your point, there is not a. Actually, I don't. There's no good way of calling a man a F boys.
Yeah, but it's not as like laden, I guess, with negative
Yeah,
connotations
not in your
when.
not as. Yeah, I get you. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not as equally cutting to call a man a f boy versus whatever terrible word you would assign that to
You
a
think
woman. So
you think a lot of those terms are gone in the 20, well, about Star Trek century, I should say.
I think you're on the right track. Probably where it is where it is at that time is that
Hmm.
it's just become non-gendered to a certain extent, but
Yeah,
maybe
because
carries the same impact, or maybe
probably
carries no
so.
impact.
Kind of
One or
like
the other.
kind of like when they say handsome, and when they say
Yeah,
handsome, they use that. Normally, the vernacular of handsome is normally used towards a male, not a female, and they've they've been doing this since I believe TOS, definitely TNG, where they would use handsome for both male and female.
yeah, exactly. And I think some of the women commanders in Starfleet we've come across, I think maybe even Janeway at the very beginning wanted to
Hmm.
be called Sir, and so that had kind of lost its gendered meaning. So
No,
I think the term will be around. It just won't be. Yeah.
she actually hated being called sir. She
Oh, it's the
only,
opposite.
yeah,
Okay.
it was the opposite. She hated being called sir. She didn't necessarily want to be called ma'am unless it was like crunch time, like crap is going down, like, and
Yeah.
that's what she wants. Like, then ma'am is fine. But captain, she just wanted to be called captain.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen with the terms that are of a certain nature because I can't even say the. It's obviously not going to happen in our time because I can't even say sex on YouTube. But
Right.
I think it'll just this thing will come out of it and it'll become non-gendered.
Hell, you probably spelling it probably just got us demonetized for this.
Just got us blacklisted. I'm an adult. This show is for adults. We're allowed to say whatever I want.
That's what you
Okay.
think. All right, let's keep going.
Right. As you mentioned, Corby is going to the Vesda chamber. Okay, I called it a Vesda chamber, but it's on a planet whose name I didn't write down.
Yeah,
It was like,
I missed the planet name as well. Hmm.
yeah, we're starting to hit on some of like the weaknesses in the script where it's like names are flying by us. It's all very important, but it's also not important at all.
Yeah. However, that
So,
pyramid that they were on, that they got teleported to, and I do have one inconsistency to point out,
hmm
but that's a little bit further within the episode. But however, this point, like that pyramid was weird, especially with it floating. Part of it floating, and the other part just like I'm how how is this constructed, and how is that part floating and not crushing the people that
this
are
is
in between
where
it?
this is where folks like your brother who said that there was more to unpack, and
Hmm.
I'm bringing up what he said offline, but he was talking about there's more to unpack. I'm like, there is more to unpack because I got lost a few times in the episode, and one of it was who built the pyramid thingies. I guess it was the Vesta because they made it pretty clear that the people who live there are pre-warp and couldn't have done that. So, but
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, it was definitely
Okay,
like,
so now that you touched on it, I should go ahead and just say it. Like the fact that they were a
mm-hmm,
pre-warp technology, a society that did stuff with the Gorn, like the Gorn, I guess got in contact with them and they like traded stuff with the Gorn and whatnot. It's hard for me to believe that this particular type of pre-warp society would have created certain things like this teleportation door or pyramids that half of it can float on top of the other. It's it's really difficult for me to believe that within the context of Star Trek like we do.
I
Um
think that's why the Vesta had to have created the temples to themselves. But they kind of said it in the episode where it's like they built these churches because they believe the Vestas are their gods. But I'm like, but they couldn't have done it to your point. So I'm like, I guess the Vesta built it, but it's not clear.
yeah, it's not. Keep going cuz I want to get to my favorite part.
Scotty, Chapel, and Mbenga, Dr. Shaft are in sick bay. They're running some diagnostics, and then they find something, and then it cuts back to Corby, who's approaching a priest. Um, and I'm not going to go through the whole back and forth. They go back and forth a couple more times as they're discovering stuff in sick bay. Um, and
It is
Corby is approaching this piece.
uh-huh. Keep going.
Yeah, and it's a reconstituted Campbell. The thing that absolutely vitiated my theory about how he could come back. They're like, no, he's back, but he's evil.
And that's my part. That's my part. I put it here. Ensign Gamble is truly deceased! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point!
the the only thing that I will say is that
Uh huh.
you could write him back just as a creativity thing. You could write him back.
But
It
why
would be
though?
stupid
But
and a
yeah,
waste of
that's the
time.
thing. But why?
Exactly.
It wasn't like
It would
if
be
Nurse
stupid and a waste
Gamble,
of time. He's done.
if Nurse Gamble was a part of the crew since season one, and he had become such a fan favorite by this time that it was really hard to see him go. Then and only then would it be allowed for you to do like large leaps to get him back.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
at this point, it's like there's no point. There is truly no
Like
point in getting him back.
like there's a difference for what is about to happen whenever we get more of the X-Men cartoon for your favorite character Gambit, with that what's about to happen
Hmm.
to get him back essentially versus a very minor character that honestly kind of annoyed me at first, and then I only became sad about what happened to him because he picked up basically a grenade and looked at it. I was like, man, I hate to see him go out like that. And it's like, okay, well, to your
It
point, now that we didn't take the easy route of getting him back, I'm like, he's not coming back.
it's
We're good
almost
here.
like at this point, like he deserved to go out. Like you picked up
I'm
a
not gonna go.
I'm no, I'm going there. I'm sorry. No, I am going there. He picked up something that is round shaped and it was like glowing and getting brighter and brighter. If that is not the quintessential like grenade, I don't know what is. Like
I feel like a better trained officer would have kicked it across the floor or something.
No. Screw this.
Assuming it was.
No, screw this. I am not going Starfleet officer on this one. I am going black man on this one. No, any black man in this situation, once they have seen this, number one, he wouldn't even picked up that damn thing. He would have just looked at it and be like, "Huh, that's interesting. Hey, y'all, see this?" He wouldn't have picked up the thing. But let's just go off the rails here and just be like, "No, he still picked it up." As soon as that crap started glowing, he would have immediately threw that damn thing.
Throwing it. Yeah.
I would have.
I wouldn't have picked it up. Well, Mbenga in the recap that I guess I glossed over
Uh-huh.
they repeated the line like, "Well, he wasn't ready to go. I shouldn't have sent him." I'm like, I guess maybe he wasn't ready to
No,
go.
he
But
wasn't.
I don't know how you tell someone not to do something that feels like it should be obvious. But I guess I won't ever be on a Starfleet away team, so I don't know what I would do. But I'm
But
like, I don't think I would have done that.
I feel like this is something that's taught in the academy, or even the enlistees. This is something that's taught in basic training. Like, if you see something that you don't know what the hell it is, don't touch it.
It feels like something that's taught in the Boy Scouts. Yes, like you don't even have to go to the future.
You know, there
To
is
get
some
there.
Starfleet training somewhere that talks about when you are going on an away mission to a world you don't know, things to do and things not to do. And I believe he did not listen to those.
Must not have. So, R.I.P. If the writers decide to bring you back in some magical way, I don't know
Okay.
why or how they would do that. Then I guess I'll spike a football, but not really because I'm on everyone else's side now that
I,
that's not even worth the time.
I kind of want to put at the end of this episode when I fully edited everything, the "In the Arms of the Angels" that song. So that's kind of at the end.
Exactly. That is where he is. I'm not continuing the joke or the bit any further. It just, if they had left it just a bit more open ended, it might have been funny enough to keep going through these reviews. But it. Once I saw it, I was just like, okay, this is not gonna. It's just gonna be
Nope,
annoying.
it's
I'm
done.
gonna sound like an idiot.
It's done.
Yeah. So, given all what's going on the planet, pre-war, bunch of enemies at the on the ground, we are going to do a covert mission to find
Dr. Shaft
Corby and then do
mission.
some recon.
Dr. Shaft
Yeah.
mission.
Well, no, it's a Dr. Shaft mission. They do have a conversation where it's like, Joseph, you don't have to go, and he's like, no, I have to go.
I have to
When
go.
when he said that, I was like, oh, I think he's going to unlive somebody.
Shaft.
Like,
I was like,
that
yes.
was the first thing I thought.
As soon as he said that, I was like, Shaft. Damn right.
He's a complicated man.
He
No
even
one understands him. But
he even talked about in this episode the first time he actually unalived somebody, which I thought
when
was
he was
very
12.
apt. Yeah, yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
I don't think I'd be right if I had to do that. Like, yeah. Well, I won't go further into that. But anywho,
I want to talk. I probably want to talk about him on a episode by itself. Just how complicated this particular character is, because he has been written probably the most complicated out of any Star Trek character that I've seen, next to probably like Garrick on DS9, or even like Martok, also on DS9. It's funny, like a lot of these complicated characters
I was
probably
going to
come
say
from
what other
DS9.
series had. Yeah.
Granted, though, I am rewatching DS9 right now, so like that's where a lot of my knowledge come from.
I
But
think
I
you
don't.
could argue that
Mhm.
7 of 9 is
Seven
a
of Nine
bit
is
of a
another
complicated
character. Yes,
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
just to get you out of DS9 territory.
I was trying to think.
Where you're like,
I was
Quark
trying
is
to
a
think.
complicated
Strange New
character.
Worlds.
Morn is a complicated character.
More, no, not necessarily.
I'm joking. That was a joke I was making. I was
However,
just listing off DS9 characters.
if they had did a more episode where he was just like, granted they did do one centric episode with him, but like
They did.
if they showed him like being like this like covert operative and like very good at what he did besides the like joking character, that would have been freaking awesome in my opinion. But like uh, besides the point.
Very much beside the point, but true. Um, so Battelle and Pike have a conversation where Pike is actually entertaining the idea that, hey, the beep chair might not be my destiny. Like, who knows? Which I think I told you earlier this season. That's always been my interpretation. Um, Maybe for my own headcanon, just to like, I don't know, have more excitement in the series is that I don't think it's a mission accomplished that Pike makes it to the beep chair from this point in time that you know it's going to happen. But it's like if you get to however long from now that the beep chair incident happens, the beep chair incident is going to happen. But this episode actually challenges my interpretation of it. Like it seems like we know from like a canon fan standpoint, yeah, he has to end up in the beep chair. But like from a character point of view, you could like fool yourself into thinking like, who knows even if I could be on the ship and it blows up, right? Before I get to the beep chair incident. But I think this episode kind of fully answers even in his mind whether he's going to end up in the beep chair or not.
There is a certain subset of fans that believe that this could be a series within an alternate timeline. I don't believe that. I truly think that this is in this is not the Kelvin timeline. This is not a different timeline from the actual main timeline that we know of. I truly think we are in that particular timeline, and he is going to wind up in the beach chair. As much as I've gotten to know this captain and how much I've grown to love this captain, and how much I don't want that to occur, still ultimately, like, I do feel like the series is going to end that way. Not necessarily like that is the thing that's just going to completely end it. I truly feel like they're probably going to end it on some like big thing, probably with the Gorn, more than likely, and big battle, end up saving the day, woo doo woo doo woo, everything's good, and then um, they talk about what occurred between that incident and when Kirk finally took control, Captain Kirk finally took control of the Enterprise. So
So we can actually make a tangent here because I think you have to update that timeline a bit based on how this episode plays off. First, I'm going to agree with you. Anyone who thinks that this is an alternate timeline should also have that completely rebutted by the end of this episode,
yeah,
given
yeah,
how the final fight of the episode plays out. But in that final fight, the beep chair incident is portrayed seemingly many years after his time as captain has ended on the Enterprise. Um,
yeah,
so I don't think it's a smooth handoff from it's a smooth handoff from Pike to Kirk, which means Kirk's gotta get like super fast promoted
true.
over the next 2 seasons. Um, but I think I think there is still room for Pike to end his 5 year journey, and then the beep chair incident happens. Seemingly, I mean, they had their kid at that point when they were talking about it, and it was beyond their 1 year
Yeah, I
anniversary.
mean,
So it seems like
okay,
it was like 2 or 3 years after he was
we'll
captain of the Enterprise.
we'll get into that more once we get to that part of the episode, because like I have my thoughts on that part, which is arguably, in my opinion, probably the best part of this episode. Um,
Yeah. Also, keep in mind, I do think the beef chair incident was 10 years ahead of when we first see him in
yeah,
Discovery, which throws him
yeah,
off the bridge of the Enterprise before that.
yeah.
Like, I kind of remember looking it up back then when they referenced it, and I thought someone said something like that. But for the sake of entertainment, basically, on this podcast, I have not gone to try to confirm that or
I
anything.
mean, they even show that within this episode too. But like I said, we'll hit on that when we get to that part.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so back on the planet on their covert mission where they're very clearly human beings.
Very clearly,
Um,
extremely clearly.
did they even try to be covert? Like,
I mean, they changed their clothes. They didn't have any Starfleet insignias on or anything.
I guess the
And
thing is,
I would be remiss to not point this out. Uhura in this whole episode, the actress that she looks gorgeous. Like, gorgeous. The way they did her hair, the outfits, everything. She looks gorgeous. La'an, gorgeous. Like,
well, you know that actress is a celebrity crush of mine. So,
I know.
uh,
I know. I just wanted to point that out. Like, I'm I'm sorry for
well, even
those.
Una too. Like at the end of the episode
Una,
as well. She
oh
like
yeah,
Yeah,
You're right. You're right. You're right. But I mean, you know how I feel about that actress anyway. So
yeah. Well, I mean, and well, even though I had to remind you that she was Mystique
yeah, and
back in the day.
as soon as you reminded me of that, that's when I was just like, that's why I've had a thing for this actress since the first time. Because
Yeah,
I
exactly.
never put two and two together because she's older from what I had seen back in the '90s of
Hmm.
the movies that she's been in the '90s, including the X-Men movies. So seeing her now is like, and she's aged very gracefully, by the way, like extremely gracefully, and she does not look her age right now.
I don't
Um,
even actually know how old she is right now. I'm not
uh,
gonna look it up either,
I mean,
just to be respectful.
I'm quite sure well past 40s because I mean we're in our 30s, 40s, so like, and we saw her in X-Men when we were younger, so, and she was a grown woman then, so has to be well past 40. So,
Yeah.
but like I
Well,
would be
if you're
remiss.
Rebecca Romaine, if you're listening, I will gladly take you out on a date there. So,
Hilarious. I would be remiss to not point out like how gorgeous the women looked in this episode. But not only that, uh, some of the outfits that they use for the male characters as well. I guess I'm always like focused on TNG's outfits when they like go covert.
because they look ridiculous.
They looked ridiculous. Patrick, they look completely ridiculous. This is like no one would dress like this in this particular situation. Like, what is this? And I feel like Strange New Worlds has changed that for the better. Even that Discovery had in certain instances where they've changed that for the better. Granted, like Discovery had some outfits that was just like, this is peak TNG TOS type outfits here, and we should not do that ever again. Uh, but I feel like Strange New Worlds has been on point with their outfits when they're not in Starfleet uniform.
Yeah, exactly. There's there's probably never been a show, and I've had a leather jacket before, but I want a leather jacket now again, so bad now. After watching this, I'm like, man, these dudes in these leather jackets, like, I'm gonna look cool if I get a leather jacket.
There's only a certain leather jacket that I want, and it's Tony Stark leather jacket, the one that he wore during Endgame. But like, that's the only one. Or no, take it back a second one. The Star Trek Captain Picard leather jacket from like season 7 that he wore all the darn time.
Oh yeah, yeah, that could work too. I think I also like the season 8 of TNG slash season 3 of the show that shall not be named. Leather jackets were cool as well.
Oh yeah,
So
those were
I
great.
know I got about 30 more pounds I want to lose, and then I'm heading right to leather jacket territory.
Oh,
So
you and me both. You and me both, man. I'm probably at like probably 20, 25 pounds that I want to lose.
yeah, yeah, I'm closing in on it. So this time next year, I'm gonna have a leather jacket and probably a Starfleet leather jacket. I'll be very happy. Um, let's see, where are we going? Oh yeah,
Uh,
La'an,
mm-hmm.
my celebrity crush, Christina Chong. You know, if you're out there and you hear this, I'm
Bless
putting it
her.
out there.
Bless her.
Yeah. She nerve pinches the guards,
Yeah,
and there's kind of a joke about the situationship.
I put that in here, and that made me enjoy the whole situationship just a little bit more. By the way, because
Yeah,
like
I'm
Nurse
not.
Chapel's like she's kind of jealous in this in this situation. Not the fact that she's dating Spock, but just the fact that, oh, not only are you dating my ex, but you learned the move that he tried to teach me and I could never
Hmm.
get. And you just did it just
Hmm.
flawlessly on two people at the same time.
With both hands, your dominant hand and your offhand,
Yeah.
got it done.
So the fact that they touched on that made me like chuckle a lot during that part. I probably had to pause it for a minute just to make
It
sure
made
I
me
was
chuckle
listening.
too. I don't like the situationship because I really that's just my real world bias against situationships. Like I just can't stand situationships. So if I suspend that within the context of the show, I was able to suspend that and laugh a little bit at it. I was like, that's actually pretty funny.
So after this episode, I truly want to say, and we'll probably touch on this more at the end. Like, can we really continue to call this a situationship between the two of them?
We can have that conversation at the end if you want. I'll tell you my initial stance is it stops being a situationship when they say it stops being a situationship. And the last word that they had is that this is a non-defined,
Okay.
we're hanging out,
Okay.
we're making sweet, sweet love, as they would say in the 1950s. like, so that's my initial stance, and that's just me being a single person in the world, knowing other single people. That's like, yeah, it never really stops being a situationship until both sides are like, okay, we're actually dating, or we've been in a situationship long enough that we're now going to just call it a relationship because we were just kidding ourselves. It's basically like back in the day, Friends with Benefits. If you
Yeah.
remember, like
Yeah.
those situations,
Yeah.
like
Basically.
it's the same thing.
Basically, and unfortunately, I've been a part of some of those before.
Yeah, if you remember from your pre-married days how much of a waste of time those ended up being, that's what a situationship is,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Maybe I know people are having fun with their friends with benefits and situationships, and I'm not gonna put it on the internet out there if I've had fun in those situations, just in case my mom hears this on the internet. But I understand
Come on,
deeply.
Patrick. You've been in
But
situationships. Don't
but
come
if your
on.
goal is
Your
to
mom
be
knows
in,
you are a grown man. Don't do that.
but all I was gonna say is if
Uh
your
huh.
goal is a relationship, you should avoid those things. I think
Oh,
I say it. I
100%.
think you
They're
find a bunch of yeah.
very convoluted, very messy, very like there's no way to get out of a situationship and for it to become a full blown relationship and wind up in marriage. I don't know any one of my friends or associates that had something like that occurred. Not to say that it's impossible. There, I'm pretty sure it probably could be possible, but um, from my point of view, it hasn't occurred.
I haven't seen it happen either. It really does feel like the realm of, like you said, it's like not impossible, but I've really only seen it happen in TV and movies. Like, it's
Yeah,
just not like something that seems real because I don't know. And maybe people will hear this and comment and be like, no, I know these people that did this. And I'm like, well, you know, people find four leaf clovers, right? You don't
yeah,
find
it's
them
a
every day.
possibility.
So,
It's always a possibility.
yep. So, but to your point, the joke about the situationship did not make me like the situationship, but it did make it entertaining. I feel like for the first time,
It made
in
me
my
like it
opinion.
more.
Yeah,
If I'm being honest.
awesome. Okay, the next scene I'm going to describe is one of my criticisms of the episode.
Okay.
The team starts to investigate how Gamble traveled from point to point using what do they call it? These layaways? Is that what they called it?
I think so. I actually missed that part as far as what they called it.
Yeah, the dialogue was not always hitting in this episode. Impelia issues the same dire warning we had before. There were some scenes here where, to counter what your brother said,
Hmm.
I don't think it needed to be a two-parter. I think they could have been more efficient. And there was quite a bit of filler dialogue in here, and the important information got kind of buried. And we could have just had someone just say, "Oh, he's clearly traveling using these ancient layways, I think they called it, from planet to planet, and then use that time on something else to explain something more important." But instead, it was a whole like
Hmm.
dialogue and
Hmm.
scene filler
It's
to fill up some time that led to like a very simple point.
it's one of those times where the writers try to write in exposition and it's just like, hey, we need to put this in there so like the audience know exactly what the hell is going on when it would have been easier, especially with older track and how they do it. It just would have been easier to just like have someone point out some nerdy thing that occurred. That like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this was known with this from what we learned when we studied this particular uh, society when we were on X planet when Nurse Gabble got offed. Um, that they use layaways and like that's what he used to get here. Da da da.
Yeah.
Boom. Move forward.
That's why I think I don't. You said layaway. That's why I'm like, I don't think I'm getting this right.
I don't know. I don't know what the hell they called it. I just
Nurse
said
Campbell used some layaway to buy his school clothes for the. like,
I don't know what they called it to be honest with you. And this is actually sad because we just got through from watching the episode like today.
yeah, we just
So
watched it today, and it's important because they end up having to use the thing. And
yeah,
it's like, what was it called? I would have loved for them to spend less time on the meaningless dialogue and having Pelia say what she said 5 episodes ago again than just like saying very quickly, oh, they're using this. They like debated the existence of it, even though he had clearly already used it. And I'm like,
yeah.
so what are we doing?
Yeah, that's one of those times where we could have used the Spock logical. Like, I mean, logic will only dictate that that he used this particular technology to get from point A to point B. We just don't know where point B is. We know where point A. So
Yeah,
we
exactly.
we know they have this technology. We shouldn't be surprised that he used this.
Yep. Yep. Okay, so that conversation happened. They cut back to the planet, and apparently these people know that. I'm gonna guess I'll keep calling him Gamble, even though he's not Gamble. The Vesda doesn't get a name, does it?
Not that I can remember. I don't think
I
they
don't think
gave
he
him
get.
like an actual name.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a moment where he's like, "My name
My
is
name
blah blah
is
blah."
yeah.
Yeah. So we'll go with Gamble, even though I think that kind of disperses his memory at this point.
It does,
But
but
we'll
it's
keep
okay
going.
because on he's been on alive for a while now. So I mean, it just took a few people to get to the point to you know say that he was unalived.
Whatever, I believed it from the beginning. Anywho, uh, Gam- Gamble is soaking it in, and he's leading a chant. And at the end of this chant,
He's been true.
people
He's been like complete cult leader at this point. If I'm being honest, that's exactly what I thought of at this particular scene.
Yeah, and so some of this dialogue that was filler could have been spent on how Gamble had convinced these people that he was a Vesda, that the like of the race of aliens that they had been worshiping. I
Well,
would have kind of appreciated that because like they show to their credit they show it, they don't tell it that they
yeah,
believe
that's
that he's a
true.
god.
That's true.
But I'm like, but he's also just a dude. So like, how did he show up? He showed up. I guess you show up with no eyes, and people were just like, oh. Well,
I
that
guess I
is
need to do
what.
that too.
Yeah, yeah. So they stabbed their own eyes out, and it's interesting. I'm about to get out of my depth here, even though I've been a churchgoer my whole life.
Hmm.
I believe some of the end time kind of revelations is that there'd be a false
Yes.
presence that people start following, and they
Yes.
got the mark of the beast that they follow, and things like that.
Hmm.
And so I think it kind of channels that a little bit, where maybe he showed up and used his powers to perform some miracles and things like. But now I'm doing the work of the writer, so I'm gonna stop doing that because you
Yeah,
know how much I don't want to
and
do
this
that.
is and this is where that's why I called him like at this point it being a cult because they were showing very cultish um, uh, the way that they reacted to seeing him and him saying this whatever thing that he said because it was in a totally different language than what any of us know
Did not write it down.
of. uh, and they proceeded to gouge their own eyes out, which is like very extreme. So, I mean, it
I don't even know
shows.
how a living being compels yourself. Like, if you tried to get up and do that right now, there'd be a lot of your body that would stop you from doing that.
That's the
Like,
crazy thing, because like they always talk about how your body, like especially your mind, like protects yourself from like you doing harm to yourself. But there are certain instances where people have unalived themselves. So
right. Or
like
done harm to themselves
or
for
that
other reasons.
exactly. So there are cases, but it requires them to be in such a hyper state. People that have unalived themselves, they got to that point where they felt like that there was nothing else that could make their lives better. So they felt like this was the only solution to their issue that they currently had. With cultish mentality, granted, like I haven't really like studied them or anything, nor am I like a, a
Psychologist.
psychologist. Yes, thank you. To
Hmm.
even be able to like speak on this in a masterful way, but like there are people who are in a cult believe like what is being said, what the direction that the cult leader wants to go. Like they believe everything, so they're more inclined to do things to themselves that the normal person wouldn't. And that's what
Gotcha.
we're seeing in this particular situation.
That makes sense. And that's probably how he pulled it off. I guess it's not the whole planet that's following him. It probably is just these really these real zealots, for lack of a better word, that live right by
That
the
yeah, yeah.
weird floaty pyramid thingies that think about this and buy into it every day and just got convinced.
I mean, that's probably the best way of putting that, because there are extremists in every particular type of I was about to say society, but not necessarily society, but like every particular type of like I'm trying to find the correct terminology for it, but I can't find the word for it. But like it's kind of like I mean I'll use this as the only example that like I can really think of off the top of my head is like you got Democrats and you got Republicans. So and like and
Whoa, are you
Democrats.
about to make Star Trek political?
Oh no, no, not at all. Trying to make Star Trek political. This is the only way that I could like make this terminology. Okay, uh,
Okay. I was going to tell you to calm right on down. Let's not do that.
but you have people like within the Democrats that like believe in certain things that the Democrats do, but then you got like certain people that don't believe like particularly everything that the Democrats do, but they move with them because like they agree with a lot of what they said more than what Republicans are. But then you got the extremists, the ones that are like really extreme with those views. And same thing
Yeah.
on the other side with Republicans. It's the same thing there. So that's what I believe is going on right here is you just have that group of people that believe in this and they're the extremists. They're the zealots from what you said.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad for those people that the sick bay has the eye rebuilding machine that they
Oh,
tried to
oh
use
yes,
a few
yes.
episodes ago because I'm like, boy, they're going to be ticked.
See as
You
how
told them what
the way
happened.
that they took out their eyes, it wasn't from the grenade thing, it was from their actual doing. Like, okay, a manga can regenerate this. We're good.
We're good. We're good. I also maybe controversially thought that this is a part where we could have ended the episode if there had just been one black Baptist preacher and a praise team and an organ.
Oh, hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine like they're down, like he gets there with the robes, and think of that song like "Keep the Faith" by like Charlie Jenkins,
Mm-hmm.
um, and they're just like, and he's just like, if you want to follow a God that wants you to have your eyes not to just see His power, but to see the power that He put inside of you, then come to the front of the church. Come on down right now. If you want a God that heals the blind and doesn't make you blind, then come to the front of the church.
Which is
Come and feel this power.
another way of putting this, like because you do have religious extremists too. Like
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
I'm a big I'm I I wouldn't necessarily call myself a theologian. Uh, I have studied the Bible. I have read it all the way through a number of times. But also at the same time, like I've learned of people that will take certain pieces of it and like latch on to it and try to like get people to go in a certain direction because of what they latched on to, or the in context verses that they use for this particular situation that they're trying to make it seem like, oh yeah, this is actually something righteous.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is definitely something that could happen in the real world.
It can.
People,
It can.
and I think we've seen it with the Branch Davidian, Heaven's Gate, like you said, all
Mm-hmm.
these cults, and like yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like you get into the wrong thing, and then someone's like stab your eyes out, and I guess some people will do it.
And there's some people that will.
But
I
I'm just
mean,
saying, if they had showed up with the Georgia Mass Choir, might have saved some folks some pain there. That's all I'm saying.
keep going.
Oh man. Okay, so Pike calls Kurt. This is another filler scene, in my opinion. Pike calls Kurt. They have some type of conversation, um, and then the Farragut is on alert. So that
Mm-hmm.
whole scene was just to tell us that the Farragut is coming. He doesn't talk to the captain though, which I thought was
Yeah, I
weird.
thought that was weird. I understand what they're trying to do here, trying to make Kirk more a central character, since I mean he's going to be seen way more throughout the rest of the seasons. But it would have made sense for them to have the captain alongside Kirk talking to Captain Pike.
Yeah, exactly. So he speaks on behalf of the captain, which only made me wonder what is the captain doing. So
Yeah,
I don't know. That's what that whole scene was for. Is like Kirk's going to be in this episode, and we need a reason for him to be here. So that's what I mean by there's too much filler in this episode, not enough getting to the good important points.
yeah.
Which is why I disagreed with. And when I talked to him, because we couldn't tell him like what I was going to say, I disagreed with your brother offline. I was like, I don't think this needed to be a two-parter. I think it just needed to be a more efficient one-parter.
I would
That's
agree.
all.
I would agree with that. Like the more and more I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking like where could you have what could you have expanded, what could you have added to make this into a two-parter. But then as we're talking about it more and more, I'm like, yeah, I don't think it really would have worked in a two-parter. It goes back to what you were saying about two parts. You feel like the second part of the episode is just really just you wrapping up everything that happened in the first
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
So it's not like a true episode. It's just like pretty much like the second episode is pretty much like all a third act, basically.
Right, exactly. It's
So
all resolution. Exactly.
exactly. So and that's what I was thinking. So it's like if you had a second episode to this, that's all the episode would have been was just all resolution. There's
Yeah.
no additional anything that would have come across from this. So I'm
No, not at all.
I'm leaning definitely more so towards you than what my brother said.
Yep. But I will say online, uh, his brother's criticism was valid.
Oh,
I think
definitely.
all of you online know that I just judge criticism whether it's fair or not whether it's my criticism or I agree with it or not. I think it was a fair criticism. I just go the opposite way. I'm like, make this a good, better one episode. Yeah.
I agree.
Uh, you want me to keep going?
Yeah, keep on.
Okay. So the covert team decides, the covert air quotes team
Quote
decides
unquote.
it needs
Mm-hmm.
a needs an orb, and then literally I got lost in the dialogue here because the dialogue struggled this episode, and all I have in my notes is looking at a thingy and Mbenga opens the door and Gamble struck. So
So,
this is the
so
part.
So they
Yeah.
determined like there was a number of like different I guess, different languages that were on the door, and one of those languages just so happened to be Swahili, which is Uhura's main language. And apparently Dr. Shaft's main language, Mbanga's main language. Uh,
Oh, this made me wonder something.
so when they read it, they were like, this part, it didn't fully make sense to me, mainly because of the Swahili that was on the door, which would suggest that. But granted, they didn't say how. They didn't carbon date this door to say like, oh, this was made such and such million years ago or whatnot. Like, so I, I can't really criticize this part of the episode as much as I want to, but it is weird.
Yeah.
I will say that.
So this thing made me have two thoughts. I think one thought I had, because I think Spock brings it up later, will
Mm-hmm.
help you maybe resolve this
Mm-hmm.
part, depending on how much time travel nonsense you like to engage in your fiction. The other thing that I want to first touch on though is, are there still African Americans when we get to Starfleet? Because it seems like all, because LaForge is from Africa. His
Yes.
parent, he's from Africa, and then I don't know where Mariner and their folks are from. Her folks are from, but Uhura is from Africa, and I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, is anyone black from Tennessee still? I mean, I'm not gonna be sad, but I'm just gonna be like, how did we all get sent back after we fought against that for so long? That seems depressing.
So one thing that Star Trek has done over the countless years is try to like show different types of cultures and how all those cultures can come together for one uh, big grand
Important, yeah.
thing that that everyone is like focusing on. So I I truly believe that there are still black people who are Americans or African Americans that are still within this country. I'm not within this country, within this universe, as to say. But they wanted to focus more on like, oh, like you got a person from France, you got a person from uh, Russia, you got a person from Germany, you got a person from Africa, you got a person from uh,
Which is more important to
Utah
do
in
back in the
America. Yeah,
60s.
it
Yeah.
is. It is because it shows the different cultures and how all of them like they have their own different beliefs, but they can still come together for this one big belief.
Gotcha. Well, that makes total sense. But until further notice, Admiral April is from Tennessee. I don't know if they say where he's from, but he's from Tennessee. I'm gonna claim him
I'll
until they tell me he's
I'll
from somewhere
accept
else.
that. I'll accept that, especially on
Okay,
my end too. Yes, yes, yes. Admiral April is not from Africa. He is from America, and He's an African American, definitely from Tennessee.
absolutely. Okay, now as to like your why is there Swahili on the door thing, I think
Yeah.
one of two things happen.
So I did put one thing in my notes that I do want to point out. I did put
Oh, okay.
time travel makes no sense. so so
I'll start with the one that's not time travel then.
okay, okay.
I think Gamble says later on, they kind of allude that maybe he put the Swahili on the door because he has Gamble's memories, but it doesn't totally make sense because it implies that for no reason Mbenga, Dr. Shaft told Gamble about who he unalived first in his life and why.
Yeah, but like also at the same time, there's all these other different languages on the door, so there doesn't have to be this one part within the door that wasn't written on, and he was the one that writ on it.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So that's two reasons why that doesn't work. The other reason that I think works, but it isn't in the time travel makes no sense category, is basically the axis of the episode with Patel, which is what happened in the interdimensional space always happened. And so everything that makes it happen and
Hmm.
makes sure that that happens in there was always around to a certain extent.
That's
So the
the
door,
that's the
mhm.
only plausible explanation that makes quote unquote sense. I'm using quotes because it's like, I mean, let's just be real. Outside of the Star Trek pantheon, this doesn't make sense. But within the
Well,
world of Star Trek and how like these things occur, it does.
so I used to watch a show called Through the Wormhole with Morgan Freeman, and
Hmm.
they explored kind of like the weirder, almost like if you study enough physics, it starts to veer into religion, and then it also starts to kind of confirm stuff in the Bible. It gets interesting if you get to the
Interesting.
outskirts of physics. And one of the things that they talked about was the theory of a static universe. That basically our brains only make it seem like we're moving through time and space because that's the only way you can process it. But really, everything that's happened has happened and is stuck in one spot. And like the concept of time and us moving through it is just one. It's just our brains making sense of it. I know I sound
The
like I'm high right now,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm
The
not.
concept of no, no. I'm granted, like I looked into this type of stuff too, so
Okay.
you don't sound high to me. So it's like it's the concept of time and even choice for that matter is irrelevant within this particular theory because what they were saying is that this has already occurred. This is something that
Yeah.
already happened. So you already knew, like, so tomorrow when I am at work and I do X, Y, and Z, that was already predetermined that I was going to do X, Y, and Z. That wasn't necessarily my choice. That wasn't necessarily um, something that I just did within that moment. It was already predetermined.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like the universe started and ended like pretty much all the same. Everything is static, and what our brains are doing is just making sense of it, which turns it into linear space time, like Cisco
And
talked about with the wormhole
yeah,
aliens.
and they touched on this a number of times. Cisco with the founders, uh, even in TNG, a number of times where they've talked about like time travel, Voyager. They've also talked about this. It's just like it's it's difficult to to say that you would do something different in a particular situation only because you are stuck in the situation where you already made this other particular choice.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the way the Swahili got on the door, in my opinion,
Hmm.
is that because it's an interdimensional space where they're holding the Vesta and the beholder is holding the Vesta, the whoever made the pyramids
Hmm.
knew to put this on here because it just had to happen.
You're
It's static and it's outside of space time. So like there's a
Yeah.
part then I think all the other writing on the door is just other missions, things that just had to happen involving the door. And so the Mbenga part of the door was the part that was in Swahili and that led to this part where the Vesta get captured because when basically the universe was made, the Vesta would always get captured by the beholder. And
I I will allow this within the pantheon of Star Trek.
look, I am a lawyer and a strategist. This is well outside of what I understand how to talk about it in a way that I can show through true authority. It's just the only way that I can process why Swahili was on the door. It's like, oh, it was always on the door, just like how Batel was always the statue at the end, even though she was the statue 5 episodes ago. She's also the statue now. She just always was the statue. It's just we got to the point where she became it, and when she became it, she was the statue for all time. Like,
Time travel makes absolutely no sense. We already have this locked and loaded in an episode of Strange Track. All right, this is something we're going to discuss in depth, and we are adding this to the list of the Star Trek episodes the time travel doesn't make sense. So
But if you take a giant step back and you ascribe to
no,
the
no,
theory,
no, 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 no,
if
no,
you
no,
no, give me a
no,
second. Give me
no.
1 second. Just give
I
me
am
1 second.
I am on the Janeway part of this right now, where I have a headache. Let's just move forward before I get it
No, no,
even
no.
bigger.
Let me say it. Let me say it for the listeners, though. Let me say it for the listeners.
Okay.
If you ascribe to the theory that everything that has happened has already happened, then and what you're experiencing is just your brain sorting it out, then you could go through an experience in your brain and in everyone else's brain together where you have to get to the point where something has to happen so it has already happened.
Yeah,
And that's essentially.
but I also feel like that would destroy multiverse theory as well.
It could. I mean, these physicists argue with each other, right? Like,
So
it's not like they know the answer, right? Only God knows the answer.
True. I mean, true, true. But it's like so. If this has already happened, and I'm just like making the decision that already I would have already made, then what's the point of me making the decision if it's already been made? And that's where we get to the point of where Janeway was, where it's just like this is hurting my and and I want everyone to really like hone in on this, like really, really truly. Janeway, at this point in her career, is extremely intelligent. She was the head of science in her one of her previous postings. She became a first officer, learned how to become a captain. One of the biggest science geeks, I should say, within Starfleet, to where the main science geek of Starfleet Academy was like her mentor. And the reason, like, not one of the reasons why she became captain, uh, but he was the one that actually like brought her aboard Voyager. Just like, this is your ship, and like pointed it out to her and everything. Like, so she is extremely intelligent. I want y'all to like hone in on that. At this point, she is just like, this is melting my brain. This does not make sense. Like, I don't, you know what? Let's just move forward. Because if I think about this even more, I'm just going to have like a quick stroke or something.
I don't want you to have a stroke. I do have just a quick response to that.
Okay.
And you don't even have to listen to it. What you're getting into, if
Mute.
you, yeah, if you've ever seen the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, it gets into this question, and it's a great movie.
I haven't seen it.
And so
I have not seen it.
it's wonderful. It's got Giorgio in it. Shoot, why am I Michelle Yeoh in it? It's got Smart Round. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his name because I never got it right. But he's a great actor. That was a child actor in the Indiana Jones series, and they deal with this. What you're running into is the absurdity, which is what they call it in philosophy. It's like the absurdity. Like, well, if everything I do doesn't matter, then does anything matter?
Does anything matter? Exactly.
And then one way to resolve the absurdity is to be like, yep, it doesn't matter. I'm a nihilist, and this is how I'm gonna live my life. The other way to resolve it is that, you know what, I don't know the choices to come, and I don't know if the choices to come are going to matter or not, but I love the people around me, and I know these are the choices I have to make in the time that I have, and I'm going to make them the best choices. So it does matter. And so, like, that's where Everything Everywhere All at Once lands, and that's where I land with the absurdity as well. Like, it does matter, because you still have to make these choices, and you make them because of the people you love, the people you're accountable to, your friends, all that stuff, and I think that's important.
But essentially,
in my opinion,
I've already made the choice.
But you don't know that because you're still sorting it out. The important thing is you made the choice when it came time to make the choice, even if you had already made it. Now I do sound high.
Yeah. Now you're getting into. I have taken a number of gummies, or I've taken a few hits, and
exactly. Oh boy, I feel like I need to like take a breather after all that philosophy and physics. But
You
I
know
can keep
what?
going.
You know what? No, no, no. We're gonna pause, right?
That was a lot of work. And I said I was tired at the top of the thing. And this is the most religious, philosophical, physics laden conversation we've ever had on this thing.
I
And I
would
wanted to go to
agree.
bed since it was like 5 o'clock.
And we had a Juneteenth episode, by the way.
We sure did. Good point. We should take a minute.
Oh yeah, we're gonna take a moment. Everyone, we'll be back in just a few. We gotta we gotta wrap our brains around this whole things have been already predetermined, but not. I don't. I don't know. We'll be right back. All right, we are back talking about episode 10 of season 3 Star Trek Strange New Worlds. We got into a very deep
Did everyone read their Old and New Testament while we were away? We're
Let's
gonna
just.
solve it all in this conversation.
I do feel like that this is something that we are going to come back on when we do the strange track that talks about how time travel makes no sense. So
That's true.
I feel
All
like
they
we're
did was get a little strange trek in the middle of this episode
basically,
review.
basically, but we're gonna move forward with the rest of the episode. Patrick.
Yeah. So Gamble pushes Mbenga through the door of apparently infinite possibilities, as we discussed. And it took Benga and Gamble to get through, which is a callback to that episode because it was like an escape
Mm-hmm.
room episode where everyone had to work in pairs individually. So I think that holds together to why two needed to open the door,
I was
even if
like,
it's a
damn
little
it.
bit loose.
I was like, damn it, we're back in this damn room again.
Yeah. So in the room, Gamble starts the prison break. He shoots the statue, and then something happens to Patel. She
Mm-hmm.
where he shot the statue, she has like a glowy thingy, and then it looks like her Illyrian DNA that she had been getting from Una like causes her to heal, and that heals the statue. Um,
Oh, I
that's the
didn't
way I
catch that.
interpreted that scene.
I didn't catch that. That's actually smart on that. Well, but later on in the episode, when Pike and Patel do make it to there, they still show the scratch. I would say on the statue's head, not on Patel's, but like on the statue, it is.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. But Gamble does mention like, man, this thing is really hard to break, and I think it's because Battelle can keep healing herself.
okay, got it.
Again, a more efficient episode would have found a
Explain
way
that
to get
at
that said
least
out loud.
within
Yeah,
one sentence. Yeah.
yeah, this is starting to work. We're starting to convince. We might not end up with a desperate score because this is starting to lower my episode score a little
Yeah,
bit the more I
just
talk about
starting
it.
to maintain why I gave it the score that I gave it. So keep going.
Yeah, we'll see if he gets rehabilitated. So Battelle's oh, she also has like starry eyes. I don't know how
Yeah,
else to explain it.
which I thought was kind of cool.
I thought that was cool too. And shout out to Sci Fanatics, who I've called out a little bit. They made the connection to, I don't know if you saw this TOS episode. I think it was the second pilot, was the Gary Mitchell pilot, where he has like silver eyes. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of the second time we got to see someone's eyes, like, signifying, like, there's something otherworldly going on with these folks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Battelle is in sick bay, and then Nurse Chapel does the thing that you definitely don't want to see your doctor doing as a patient, which is freaking out at.
Yeah, as you that she you ask her what is going on, and she's just like freaking out. It's like, hey, hey, Chapel, hey, tell us what the hell's going on.
What is happening? This is not a calming influence on me. You freaking out like looking at my pad. Um,
And I don't have
and
Mbanga
it,
here to like be able to like calm down and like tell me. So I would need for you to tell me here.
yeah, exactly. Um, Although nurses tend to be more experienced than those doctors. Like I feel
A
like.
lot of times, yes.
hmm so it turns out Battelle is the statue, the Beholder statue, which I didn't know that's what it was called before that scene. But
No one knew that
uh,
until now.
yeah, the life signs of the statue and the life signs of Battelle are the same. I don't understand this at all because
Yeah, it goes
how
back to
does a
what you were
statue have?
saying. It was going back to what you were saying. Like when they scanned the statue, they did find organic. Um, like there was an organic piece to this statue, which they thought was at one point the statue was alive. So this was pretty much the culmination of coming back to that
Yep, you're
and
right.
like, oh yeah, the statue was once alive because it was Patel, but Patel later, and because this room like is like outside of time and space and everything can happen all at once. Like
Effect can precede cause. Yeah.
exactly.
Which they
Exactly.
showed in that episode because Spock noticed a cut on his hand before he cut his hand, and it's like it was like
Yes.
fascinating. Yeah, I'm not going back to that last conversation.
No, no,
If
we're
you
not.
want to know what I was about to say, listen to what we said before the break.
Let's do the previous 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's talk about the circularity of time again. No.
No, thank you.
All I have here is that the escape room starts again.
Hmm.
Um, and then all I have here is that science conversation leads us to believe that Patel is the protector from the Vesda. So this is what I'm saying. Like in the script, it gets a little inefficient because we conclude she's a statue, and then we have to have a whole conversation to confirm that she's here because of these genetic modifications that she's been doing.
Yeah, you see where they're going with it.
Yeah,
They just don't stick the landing, which is the issue here. Which is weird with us talking about Strange New Worlds because they normally do stick the landing when it comes to these particular types of explanations. But
mm-hmm.
here they don't do a really good job of doing that. We kind of have to like form our own conclusions and come to a. We almost have to leap even to like get a true understanding of like what the hell is going on here. And the layman person, like the person that doesn't even know Star Trek, doesn't even know all this like crazy stuff that can happen. Like if they would listen to this, like if my wife was watching this, she would have been like, I don't know what the hell is going on. I Even if she had watched the Nurse Gamble episode before that, she still would have been like, I don't. You're gonna have to explain stuff to me because I have zero clue what the hell's going on right now.
I agree with that. And yeah, I don't quite know how to fix it because I'm thinking about, even though I'm a nonfiction writer,
Mm-hmm.
thinking about the times I've gotten to places where I feel like I've explained something, but not in like a good way and things like that. Usually, what happens, and I think that's where I keep coming back to one of my criticisms of this episode, is that just come back and just say the sentence you need to say, and then if there's just too much space after that, fill it with something more interesting
I
than
think
what
this
you
is
just said.
I think this is one of those situations where the writers wrote themselves into a corner, and they didn't know exactly how to get out of it.
Well, I could see that. I could see that. I don't know if they got into a corner. I kind of think that they loved aspects of the outline that they made for this episode more than they should have. There were points they really wanted to get
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
in the writing, and then they didn't quite care how they got there. And I'm thinking you needed to care how you got there, because if you cared how you got there, a lot of this exposition is one sentence, and you could have put another character moment in. Like I would have loved to see a conversation between Pike and Patel, which would have been right after this, when they realized that basically this is Patel's last mission.
Yeah.
Like that was that whole
Yeah.
conversation, is that she's going to be the statue at the end of it and probably not around
Yeah.
anymore. So like I would have loved that conversation about I mean, not like we just had, but about destiny and does this mean I go into the beep chair and what does it mean for us? Will I ever find love? Like, all the things that I could have raised as a person, they just kind of like glossed over it and moved on.
Yeah. I would agree. But I want to get to the next scene because, well, the next few scenes, I should say, because these are some of my favorite. Next to the main one that we discussed.
Okay. So Pike's gonna go with Battelle because they do realize like this is essentially her last mission. There's
Mm-hmm.
at least a 99% chance she's going to be a statue by the end of the day, and so he goes with her. They go back to the kind of weird pyramid-looking thingy and back to the door because they gotta take. It's gonna take too long to fly to where they were before, so they're
I
gonna
think they
go
said
through
what
the
11
door.
hours or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So they need to get through the door. So they need to power the door. I gotta tell you, I got really confused on how
This
they were gonna
was
power the door in the conversation.
okay. So the main reason why I would say that I love this part is because this was Star Trek at its best. We have to we have to do something to get this door to open. So what's the craziest thing that we can think of that we need to do to get this door to open? It's like, a ship could halfway power it. What about two ships? Two ships could power it fully. So I excuse this part of it, of the craziness. Like, granted, we dealt with a lot of craziness with the time, all that, but this part of it I enjoyed so much that I was just like, yeah, I'll excuse the explanation part on this part.
That's interesting because I basically excused the whole time, the whole concept of space time earlier
And I didn't.
in our conversation, and you didn't. I didn't excuse this part because I got lost in the conversation. I thought they were saying they were going to use the power of a sun to open the door.
So technically, what they were saying, what Scotty was saying, is that you needed the power of the sun in order to get to that amount of wattage that they like had pointed out. And so they were essentially saying that each starship has half the power of a sun. The
Yeah,
more
I
that I
missed
think
that. That
about it,
did
the
not
more crazy
process.
that
That
I'm
did
just.
not process for me. That did not So my original note with this, I thought they were going to fire the phasers into a sun and generate a blast that would power the door. Because I initially wrote Dr. Crusher
Yeah,
did this. Because Dr.
yeah.
Crusher did a thing. I was like, oh, that's going to be a cool callback. And it wasn't until I was putting the notes in for behind the scenes shared note that we use for the plot points
Hmm.
that I realized, oh, that's not what they did. And then I thought that they were going to cross the streams like a Ghostbusters reference. Like
I
they're
also
going to
thought that
fire.
too.
Okay. At no point did I understand they were just going to fire at the door at the same time.
Okay,
Like I feel
so
like I needed a
okay,
concluding sentence.
I do need to specify this from what I know from Star Trek canon. Uh,
Okay.
each ship, especially Federation ships, they fire their favorite phasers on a kind of similar frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they can alternate those frequencies, but for the most part, each ship has like they fire on the same frequency. So, what Scotty was saying that if both the Farragut and the Enterprise shot at a target at the same point, that one of those beams is going to bounce off of each other, depending on which one got there first, because they're firing on the same frequency. So what they were saying is that it had to be in total synchronicity to where they pretty much crossed the streams at the exact point. So technically they did cross the streams, but not like the Ghostbusters movie where we saw them crossing the streams tight. Does that make sense?
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. I think I needed a chart. Look, understanding space time and philosophy and things like yeah, I'm up for that. But I'm like, what?
But that's funny because like this part I understood because of previous talk on how the phasers work and all that stuff. So this wasn't really too outside of the realm of. I mean, granted, like this is fantasy, so like everything is outside the realm of
Yeah,
possibility.
exactly.
But
Like we're not trying to
within,
make sense of it. We're just trying
exactly.
to
But
follow the story.
within this world, with what has been established, within what was canon, it wasn't outside of the realm of that possibility. I should say.
Okay. I totally missed that. I got that if they didn't fire at the same time, something bad was going to happen. I didn't get that the phasers weren't going to sync to power the door at the same time. If it didn't happen at the same time, I totally missed that. What I understood is that if they didn't get there at the exact same time with the exact same button push,
Hmm.
it was gonna blow up the temple. I got that, but
Yes.
like, yeah, I didn't get that they weren't gonna cross the streams correctly. It could have been written better.
I mean,
It
I'm
could
not.
have been written better.
I'm not at all, I'm not going to fight you on that one. I'm just saying I understood it better.
Good, good, good. So okay, so to get the beams to the streams to cross at the same time at the right time,
No
Spock wants
Diddy.
to mind meld. Hmm?
I feel like I should say no Diddy every time I hear it cross the streams. I don't know why.
It's a Ghostbusters reference.
I know. I know.
Uh, we should actually, if we ever do non Star Trek content, we should review that movie because I heard someone say something very interesting. And it's like the Ghostbusters movie is about nothing. They're like it doesn't stand for any point, and they're
Well,
like nothing really happens in it. And it's like
I'm sure that is completely correct.
yeah, but people love it, including me, and would
And
watch
I
it
still
over
love
and
it
over
too.
again. Yeah, so I kind of wanna do that. Maybe we'll see years in the
We'll
future.
see.
Spock wants to do a mind meld to get the coordination necessary to fire.
And I,
And another confusing conversation to me because Ortegas is there and they're talking about piloting, and then it's not about piloting though. It's about firing the phasers at the same time,
well, there.
which makes me go like, why is Ortegas there? Is she friends with
So
Kirk and I missed it?
yeah, okay. So I don't know why Ortegas was there. I guess to have a third person there that could actually like bounce this idea off of Kirk. But piloting was only part of the maneuver. But like, I guess what Ortega should have said within that, like, yeah, piloting is part of it, but not the main piece of it. So anyone could do anyone who has a what she should have said was like anyone who has a class level whatever,
Whatever, yeah, made
yeah,
up, whatever,
yeah,
can
whatever
pilot
made
this.
up piloting could do this. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be me. Like so she you don't have to like this S class rank of piloting. You
Yeah,
can
exactly.
be you can be just a C from what it sounds
Yeah,
like.
entry level showed up on the first day
Exactly.
pilot to do this.
It just has to be in total synchronicity. And you're right, they didn't do the best explanation of that within the scene.
Yeah. It like they very much had points that they wanted to get to in their outline for the episode. We want to
Mm-hmm.
get to the point where
Mm-hmm.
Kirk and Spock, and I don't want to throw this moment under the table because it's a big lore
It
moment,
is a big lore
canon
moment.
moment. But you know, we want to get to the point where Spock calls Kirk Jim for the first time. We want to get to the point where we get to do this cool story at the end about what Battelle and Pike's lives would have been like. We want to get to
Mm-hmm.
this point, and they just did not care what happened along the way to get there. It was just whatever fills the time to the point and sets it up roughly to get to this, and
How we
that's
got there is how we got there.
yeah, exactly, and it doesn't matter. Um, so yeah, Kirk and Spock mind meld. Spock calls him Jim for the first time. I think this is great lore. It makes
Oh,
total
oh,
sense that they.
I do want to point out one thing that I did have in my notes about this my mail. Before he did it, he was like, as long as you don't judge me for that one time on Orion's second moon.
Yeah, second moon, third moon, or something like that. Yeah. Um, that solidifies it for me. No one's gonna mind meld with me. I don't want all my information in someone else's head. Like maybe if the galaxy was dependent on it, but it'd have to be the whole galaxy.
Not just part of the galaxy, not just one sector of the galaxy, or
They're like, we're gonna lose 10% of the galaxy. I'm like, ooh, that
ugh.
sucks. Well, I'm gonna be out of here. Excuse me. Yeah. So we might need to do a strange check on it just so that we don't do it here, because as you noted, we gotta make a little
Are,
bit of a sprint for time.
are we talking
But
about like my mails don't make sense?
well, it don't make sense, and also what exactly happens in a mind meld? Because I feel like I've
Yeah,
seen mind
yeah.
melds that have been pretty targeted to be
Uh,
like, I'm just melding with you just to do this thing, versus mind melds that are like, I'm gonna know your entire history and yourself better than yourself.
I
Type mind meld.
I will put this down, but I will point out that mind melds are used as a Deus Ex Machina in Star Trek. So a lot of
Very much
times
so.
when they need to fix something, or a lot of times when they need to get to a certain point, or they don't know how to get there, the mind meld situation normally fixes that. So they allow the mind meld to do whatever it needs to do for this particular situation to get to that point.
Gotcha. Which is definitely what happened here because
Yes.
I I will say this, and like we said a few weeks ago, it's not that I care about plot holes, but I'm also like, we can't electronically at this point sync the button or
Well, they said that it
that
had to be manual for some
they
reason.
did say it had to be manual.
They didn't explain why it had to be manual, but they just said it had to be manual.
I guess even with the best electronic synchronization, you'd still have some type of delay, but you could put a delay on the first button to make your phaser fire slower, so that it'd be time for the other. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, you're getting to the whole space time thing that we just got into a few minutes ago.
Anyone just want to talk about life on this stream? Let's just talk about let's just talk about life. Anywho, so we get into the kind of spinny ship formation that they did in Enterprise
I
once.
loved this whole sequence, by the way.
Yeah, I did too. Um, and Kirk and Spock fire, and they unlock the door. And yeah, my note is, yeah, some real hero shit here. Like,
Why every time like a door is unlocked or something like that, and like we had to do something to get this door to unlock, why the people that's supposed to go through the door, why they always take so long to go through said door? I was like, okay, Pike, okay, Battelle, the door's open. Go the fuck through. Like, we ain't got to talk about this. Really, in that scene, all that should have happened was you saw the baby hit the door opens, they look at each other, they do a nod, and they go straight through the door. That's really all that needs to happen in that scene.
I think of that as, and this is the first time the term had popped in my head. I think of that as like a micro filler, where it's like you're stretching the script already to kind of try to cover some runtime, because I think this was a 52, 55-minute episode.
Oh, it was pretty long. Yeah, it was one of their longest.
Yeah. So let's take 30 seconds to get through the door. Yeah, you know.
I hate. I truly hate that particular trope in movies and series like I don't understand why it has to take this long to just for you to do something. It's already been understood what we need to do. Just do it.
Right. I got you. I'm with you, but I don't know. You want to talk about the space-time continuum again?
No, no, thank you.
Okay. All right. So they go through the door, and when they get there, um, something's happening because the escape room activate. Oh, I guess I missed that. When the escape room activated, and Mbenga and Gamble got separated. I don't really know what's going on. Gamble's in another room. So at this point, when eventually Battelle and Pike go through the door, I guess, hang on, I will say this. If you knew walking through a door was going to change your life forever, maybe you do take a second, but I don't know. Maybe you don't. Important mission. I'm trying to come up with something.
You're
I'm
trying.
gonna stop.
You're really trying, but no.
I really am. So when they get there, Gamble breaks out. Something crawls into the. Oh, I'm not going to say that. That's going to sound disgusting on the internet.
I was like, Patrick, where are you going with that?
A Vesda repossesses Gamble.
I knew what I knew where you were going. I knew what you were saying, but it was still like, hold on, wait, whoa.
Yeah, I haven't had that much whiskey. And I have had that much whiskey, but I haven't had enough to finish that sentence.
So I didn't understand that. And did those they actually show what those beings kind of look like? And I felt like they looked like something from a previous Star Trek TNG episode.
No, I thought they looked like the ones from the Voyager episode with the Equinox.
Yeah,
The
okay,
things that were
yes. That's exactly what they look like. You are correct. 100%.
okay.
Yes. Uh
That's
wow.
what I thought they looked like. I know it's a
Wow.
miracle episode. I remembered something from Voyager, but it's a good Voyager.
I know. That's weird because I should have been the one that thought of that, but you were actually the one that pointed that out.
That's what I thought they looked like when they were flying around. All they were missing was like the little noise.
Okay.
So Gamble breaks out. When he breaks out, it knocks Mbenga out. And then Battelle and Pike are kind of staring down. They have kind of a non-consequential conversation because the dialogue is not good this episode.
Not at all.
The dialogue is not good this episode. And then Gamble attacks Battelle. That makes Pike steps up because I guess he's going to go hand to hand
Which was
with
stupid.
Gamble. And then and then Gamble does something and like hits Pike in the chest. And at this point, I put in parentheses no phasers. We didn't bring any
Good
guns
point.
to this
Good
fight.
point. The question is how effective would they have been in this situation, and I don't think they would have. But yeah, that's still a good point because it would have been
I'm
like
still gonna try.
The Starfleet protocol is to like shoot this motherfucker right now.
Yeah.
Um,
At a last ditch effort, I can set it to overload and throw it at him.
you
See what
know, you
happens,
know, as like a grenade. Uh,
Yeah. Because it's not like we're gonna run out of phasers. I can just bring a phaser just in case it starts working, right?
you're you're not wrong in this situation.
Yep. So Marie Battelle, I wrote Marie. I guess we're on a first name basis now. Marie powers up
That's funny. I
because
put down her first name as well. But keep on.
well, I think we know at this point it's our last episode. We've known it for like I don't know the last like 15 minutes of this episode. So like I guess we're getting sentimental. Marie's powering up because she's about to face Gamble, which admittedly looks like it's going to be a hand-to-hand energy blast MCU DCU superhero-esque finale battle that we're going to get. But I think when we talk about the season at whole, they've been subverting expectations all season. They subvert expectations here.
And here we are, Patrick.
There are four lights.
This is your four lights? Okay.
I have been holding this in because I was like, there are multiple moments that we talked about leading up to this that I was just like, oh man, that could have been a Four Lights moment. Oh man, that could have been a Four Lights moment. But like truly, when I was watching the episode, this right here was my Four Lights moment. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because they
Okay.
have been the whole episode has been leading up to this. Like I can excuse all the stuff that they cut out, not adding additional explanations for this, not adding an explanation for that, trying to get to this scene, because I knew that they were ultimately trying to get to the ending. From what we know now, what they were trying to ultimately get to was the flash. Well, not necessarily flashback, but more of a flash forward sequence with Pike and Battelle and what life would have been if they didn't have a lot of the stuff that would have kept them from being together.
If they weren't predestined, if what wasn't predestined to be in a beep chair and wasn't The other wasn't predestined to be a statue.
Statue guarding over.
This is what it would have worked out to be.
Exactly. So, we see now that that's what they were trying to get to. But in this particular situation, it was just like this. I felt like this was a lost moment. And I have to agree with my brother on this. We had, and for those that don't know, we had a discussion with my brother before we actually got on live. He wasn't able to join us. I know you said that a couple of times, but I at least wanted to reiterate that.
Okay.
He wasn't able to join us because he's doing a lot of stuff for work. So is
that what the kids call it nowadays? No, I'm joking.
Hilarious. There could have been more with this particular battle than what occurred. We're not saying it needs to be a full-blown kung fu jiu-jitsu style type fight where they're like fighting almost to the death and it takes like 5 minutes for them to get to the resolution where someone wins. We're not saying that. There just should have been more than what was done within this particular scene, because you even saw in the previous episode where they met each other that they had a nice little fight there, and that fight wasn't that long. It was like actually really short, but still that would have still sufficed in this particular situation. And then she just ends up overcoming him at the ending. I felt like this part right here was what was cut short. Everything else,
it was.
I felt like there was a lot of stuff that could have been cut out to have this part be longer. And even if that, like, this is not your stereotypical. And this is the part that pisses me off the most. And I'm saying the word pissed because it does piss me off.
I mean, you've already dropped a couple of F-bombs.
I already have. I made sure to do it later in the episode.
Okay.
This part, you're not like string armed into it being a certain amount of time. Like, oh, we got to keep this within 51 minutes because we need to have 9 minutes of commercials. Or, something to that effect. So where you had Star Trek The Next Generation, Voyager, even TOS, even though that was in a different era, like, you had them, like, they had to have certain points where they could go to commercial, and then also it not be long enough to where it didn't, like, go over that whole hour time frame. You're not stuck to that on Paramount Plus. It can be as long as you want. Why? Why do we cut things like this out? This doesn't make sense to me. It truly pisses me off every time I think about it. And there are other episodes where they've done this, where they cut stuff, and it's just like, you could have added that in. What's an additional 2 minutes to an already 52, 53 minute runtime?
I think it was like 55 minutes. Yeah.
Like, what an additional 2 minutes would have made in that? Would you have cared? I wouldn't.
So I'm of two minds of it. I'm not disagreeing with your Four Lights moment at all, because one, we've already noted some of the fat that could have been trimmed from this episode to give some more space to what was really important. And it was this ending sequence was the most important. Act 3
in the episode of the episode was the most important part.
So as like a piece of art, it's not economical, as they would call it. Like, it's not economical at all. It's not efficient. What I get kind of hung up on is I really like the emotional gut punch that it gave me, and I kind of get like why they went this route, because in society, just at large, there's a lot of superhero movies, there's a lot of stuff. So like, we know what an energy blast punch roundhouse kick fight kind of looks like, and we love them and they're good, and I don't stop doing them. That's not what I'm saying. But the end of the Thunderbolts got this kind of smoke as well. It got the smoke of like, what was this third act fight ending supposed to be? They end up hugging it out. It's so weird and it's so different. I don't
I
really.
haven't even
And I'm
watched
kind of like,
Thunderverse yet, just to let you know. But
oh, sorry. It
no,
doesn't
that's
spoil
fine.
that much. Yeah, it doesn't spoil that much. Just now you know not to be looking for a giant fist fight at the end,
I
which
mean,
probably will end
that
heighten.
actually probably will make it better for me because
Yeah, exactly.
I won't be expecting it now. So when I watch it, be like, oh, okay, this is what he's talking about. Okay, it actually didn't end that
Yeah.
bad. Like,
So honestly, I like a third act battle that is like really different than punch, punch, kick, blast, 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 explosion, right?
but
Like
it leads
no,
up. I'm sorry. Well, you had more. I'm sorry.
no, because I'm about to agree with you. That's the only reason why I'm cutting you off.
It
Because there's fat to be trimmed in this episode, they could have given us some of that to help us understand what was going on. Because when we come back from this beautiful sequence that I think is a very beautiful
Uh-huh.
and very good write-off for Battelle and Pike and that whole relationship and all that
I would
stuff,
agree.
we would have had enough time for at least to set up that the jailbreak is on. He can figure out how to jailbreak without breaking the statue, because if he broke the statue, he would have killed Patel. But he clearly didn't do that, but the jailbreak was on anyway. Like, so much could have been clarified before we went into that sequence through a bit of a fight that put everything in context that ultimately end up being with you, even though I'm like, of two minds. I'm like, cool, we didn't get a typical third act battle, but they didn't quite set it up right either. So
See,
go ahead.
my main thing with this is that I've watched way too much anime to not know how to do this particular scene better. And
Yeah.
granted, I'm not a writer. I am not a writer. I am not a movie screenwriter. I am not a series writer.
You can
I
be a
am
writer
not.
if you want to. You just got to start writing.
I probably could be, but I do know what tugs on people's heartstrings the most. Like that scene with Patel and Pike of him going through their life and what things could have been without them having these predestined situations that occurred. That was that was the greatest part of this episode. Number one and
Exactly.
foremost. How a anime would have wrote that would have been this particular situation where you have two strong beings going up against one another. They have a semi fight, and it gets to a point of being dire. And that's when the sequence happens of you seeing Patel and Pike in the future, of what could have happened, of what could have occurred. So it makes the audience think, oh well, like they won that. Not only did they win that fight, but also they ended up changing certain aspects of the future as well. And then as you go through that sequence, you get to a point where you're just like, hold on, wait, this sequence doesn't feel right. There's something wrong here. There's something different. And then you get to that
Which is what
point. They did, but it still had the emotional effect. I will 100% agree with that.
No,
It
I didn't
still
mean to cut you off there.
No, you're fine. It still did have that emotional effect. Like I shedded a tear or two during that scene. But if you would have had more of an intense scene leading into that, and then coming out of that, going right back into the end of this intense scene, would have been more epic.
Yeah. I think you could write it either way, and we're saying the exact same thing. Even though I'm not a fiction writer, you can write it where the battle starts in either mid-battle or maybe in a moment where Battelle is in a extreme part of jeopardy. Mm-hmm. She does this because the whole point of what we're about to talk about is for her to power up to take down the enemy.
Yes.
She's
Yes.
digging deep into loving feelings to create the amount of love and empathy to take down Gamble in a single blow.
And we can go
become
ahead
the
and go
statue.
into the sequence since we've already started talking about it.
Yeah, but I want to kind of like amen your four lights moment. Like You could have done that at a more dramatic point, but it seems like you almost didn't because we spent a lot of time talking about stuff that I didn't understand earlier in the
that didn't make
episode.
sense or understand. Exactly. I
Yeah,
wholeheartedly agree. This is the part that would have been fine if you would have added a few minutes to the runtime or taken something out previously just to get to this point. It goes back to what we've said in previous episodes where there are plot holes, there are writing mistakes in practically every episode that we watch.
everything. Yeah.
But the point of it was the episode so entertaining that you just dismissed all those plot holes and writing mistakes, or was the writing was the level of entertainment not as big enough to excuse those?
Yep. So this is where I didn't shed a tear. I will free. Did you ever finish
I,
Discovery?
I'm a softie. I'm a big softie. No, I haven't finished Discovery yet, but I'm a big softie, especially as I
No, no.
continue to get older.
Same here. I was a big softie at the end of, or if you saw Superman, mush. I was mush at the end of Discoveries afterward to conclude their series, and this had the same kind of vibes to it. So Maria's powering up to take on a gamble, and then we cut to the cabin, and then we cut to their 1 year anniversary. Marie and Pike are married. They said they weren't going to do gifts. They're trading gifts. And I wrote in parentheses in my own notes, very Nexus. Like, it already struck to me that this was
yes,
not real. Yeah.
yes. That's a
I
very
was
good
like,
point
this
to
is
point
Kirk,
out.
this is Picard Nexus. I was like, I was like, we're in the Nexus now. Which if you didn't see Star Trek Generations, then why are you listening to this?
You know,
Anywho. So they get a kid, and this is where my notes start to get a little spacey. Like, they get a kid, and then it seems like they're going to get in the beep chair because, like, yeah, like Pike's freaking out. He's like, I didn't know I was going to have this to live for, and now I got to go on the mission that I know I'm going to end up in the beep chair, and then no beep chair.
yep,
Yeah, it just didn't happen. And at that point, I was like, this is absolutely fake. Because
Yeah.
it popped in my head. I was like, why does Spock take him to Talos 4 if this is like a real thing that could happen?
exactly.
So, like, yeah, so we know we're off. Not to question the nature of existence again.
And he
But-
even stated after that, and I put this in my notes. I don't know what comes next anymore. And
Yeah,
she said,
yeah.
"Isn't that the gift?" So it was. It in this whole scene really was Patel giving Pike the gift of knowing what could have occurred, so he can have that level of happiness while dealing with the fact that he's going to lose her for the rest of his life.
Yeah, but I also think, and this is, I'm not going to try to get too trippy here, because I'm sure we're going too long already, but I also think she set this off as a, like, line of events that she didn't actually know what was going to happen either, because she seemed genuinely surprised when he came back not in the beep chair.
That's true.
And yeah,
That's
so
true.
I think she set up like whatever this is, Nexus, pocket alternate timeline, whatever, for them to experience, and it's very. This is going to get me canceled by a lot of Star Trek fans. This sequence is better than the Inner Light, in my opinion. In my opinion, I think they channeled the same vibes where it's like
Oh, dude.
a captain channeling a.
I see where you're going, but the Inner Light was like a whole episode. A whole
Well, keep
episode.
in mind, that whole episode is a whole episode that my fellow Trekkers and Trekkies like, that I don't like. So, like,
Dude.
when we get to it in the rewatch, we'll get to it.
That
We'll
was
talk about
such a good episode, though. That was
what
such
issues
a
I
good-
have with it.
Because you know what? No, I'll hold all that for when we do the rewatch of it
Yeah.
because it was such a strong Picard character development moment, which is one of the main reasons why I
This
love
was
that
a strong
episode.
Pike moment. It
No,
just happened a lot.
I agree, wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
But like,
So,
but the thing that I would argue though is that Picard before that moment had a lot of stoicism that, and it always seemed like that he a lot of times a lot of like emotional things didn't break him. Besides from like a handful of times with the whole Borg thing with the best of both worlds, when he had a girlfriend that almost died, you know, those particular situations. So to see him in a more less stoic moment where he was just it almost seemed like in this particular situation he was almost more of a human being than how he's portrayed as being the captain of the Enterprise, where he's just stoic and like almost like nothing phases him.
yeah, but 90s television is not written that way. We'll get to it.
Okay. Okay.
We'll get to it. So yeah, so they've had the first year anniversary. They have a puppy. They have a kid. They have the apron. I'm gonna call it the apron with the Chef Pike
Yeah.
on it. Bit of a heartbreaker. I
Love
hope
that
you don't
part.
start crying
Oh,
online.
love that part. Oh, love that part.
So, Battelle and Pike grow old together, or grow
Yeah.
older. I'll say it together, because by the time we check it out again, they
Oh,
seem to be like in their 60s or something.
you also missed the
Um,
part. You also missed the part where the daughter brings home the
no, I
boyfriend.
haven't.
Okay,
It's
that's
my
what you're
next
getting to.
sentence.
Okay.
Yeah. No, no, they're not elderly yet. You have to.
Oh, okay.
We're not up on our geriatric terminology yet. As
Okay.
we will be friends in the coming decades, we'll be up on that terminology, but not right
Thanks.
now.
Thanks. I have that to look forward to. Thank you.
Exactly. Well, we're doing this in 2050 or whatever. So yeah, Juliet and Elijah. Juliet being foreshadowing a little bit to this episode, but Juliet and Elijah are engaged, and they flash forward from that to a bunch of pictures on the wall that shows how much they've lived together. And
That was such a great scene of him walking and showing those pictures. It was just like,
yeah.
Each picture was like another gut punch, gut punch, gut punch.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, at this point, we're in our 40s, so we've been through it enough times that it's like, this is a hard thing to watch.
Yeah.
A little bit. Um, and Battelle lives to the end of her natural life, and through that, you start to notice the things that had always indicated, if you hadn't seen Star Trek before, that this was not a totally real
Real.
thing. Although I want to kick off a brief conversation after I say this to talk about what this was just a bit. But so she's coming to the end of her natural life. There's a knock on the door. Knock, 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 knock. And then the comet passes by. And she says it's a little early this time, which I didn't totally catch the meaning of. But she said it's a little early this time, and then tells him to go answer the door, and then that's the end of the thing. So here's my headcanon. I think what happened when she started to power up, because she's in the interdimensional space, and space-time doesn't quite work the way that it was. I think we got a bit. Don't go crazy, y'all. This is not a show that's in a branch universe. The show's in the prime timeline. I think we got a taste of a branch timeline where she didn't have to be the statue, and he didn't have to be in the beep chair, and all the predestined choices didn't really matter, and they got to live that out. And I think in his brain, I think it's so inner light that he lived every single day with her from that point that she dropped him in when he was done being captain of the Enterprise, all the way through the beep chair thing not happening, because she's like, well, maybe maybe time and space got altered in that battle I had. Mm-hmm. And maybe she made it so that the beep chair wouldn't happen and she wouldn't have to be a statue. And I feel like he did live like however long, 80 years, 90 years or whatever, in that time period between when she was powering up to fight Gamble and then when she fought Gamble and was real. That's my headcanon, even though they don't make it clear. It could have just been a clip show that she just gave him, but to me, I think he lived that whole lifetime. I don't know. What did you think?
That was my whole part. Why I was so upset of the battle beforehand, because that was in your typical anime, that would be your power up sequence. That would be your sequence where you are like before this you were down, you were everything was about to end. This was it. And then something happens that makes you remember or makes you feel a certain way, or power, friendship, all that stuff that anime tropes always do. Which in this particular case, it was the love that she had for Pike, and part of that was, yes, this was a power up sequence, but it was also a gift to Pike, because she knew, especially at this point, she knew that a lot of the predestined stuff was just going to happen, and there was not a damn thing they can do about it. She was going to become the statue. He was going to wind up in the beep chair. Like, there's nothing they can do about that. So she wanted to give him that life that he ultimately wanted. The life that would have made him the most happy. So even though this wasn't true reality, he still got to feel everything. He still got to see his daughter from when she was an infant to when she got older to when she got married. Like, he got to see the last days of Batel when she finally got to the end of her life. And so,
and honestly, if they had trimmed some of the fat this episode, probably would have saw his grandkids, because they were significantly older, but they didn't trim the fat of this episode. So,
yeah, another part of that I would have said that, I mean, we could have added another minute to show that, and it would have been even more gut wrenching. But it was through all this that she was able to gather the power that she needed to be able to defeat. We don't have a name for this guy. We just call him
the Vez. We don't want to say. Yeah, we'll call him. Why don't we just call him the Vesda?
Evil Gamble. No, I'm saying Evil Gamble.
Evil Gamble. Yeah. And also for me, and this is me being vulnerable on the internet, and I probably shouldn't be, in case I ever run for mayor one day or something, which won't happen.
Oh no, it might show your human side more.
But for me, where I am in my life at over 40, and this is where the Discovery ending got me as well, when you catch up and see that, seeing that work out where it's like, oh, marriage, kids, life, fulfillment, and even when it comes to the end and it hurts and whatnot, it's just kind of like, man, when that's still an open question in your life, you're like, that hurts even. That hurts even more. Why did you do that to me? I was just trying to have a Sunday, and now you done this. And so I think it gets everyone in different. It's such a universal thing. It gets everyone in different stages. Like you're married. I'm not married. Mm-hmm. Kid situations are different and whatever. I'm not putting your business out on the internet, all that stuff.
I appreciate that.
Different things, different things can go on. But you can watch this story and just be like, man, yeah, she wrote basically a storybook ending, and it's like, if you're watching this, you're like, first off, I'm glad Pike got to see that and experience what that would have been, and I think he got to live every minute of it. That's my canon. even
But
though he didn't clarify it. But
that's the part of this, not only this episode, but this series as a whole, that makes it so great, because you had the previous series where they ended on like this high note, like they the characters went off to do this and did this and like live happy ever after, basically, so on and so forth. Where in this particular series, like yeah, a lot of the episodes are on more of a upbeat type situation, but we all know how it's going to end. It's not going to end in the we all live happily ever after. He is going to wind up in the beep chair. We know that Patel was not in the original series. We know that something happened to her. What happened? This is what happened. So it's the dramatic part of Star Trek that we probably didn't fully get within the other series.
yeah, but even then, it's not totally sad, and I think that's what they
Not
try to hit
completely.
on at the end. Maybe I shouldn't say because I
Kind of
have.
like bittersweet in a way.
Yeah, because she ends up being a defender against evil for all time,
Yeah.
basically, or until at least some of that other language on that door comes
Hilarious.
comes to life or whatever. But for what we know, she has always been and always will be a defender against evil. And Pike is going to end up on Talos 4, not in the beep chair, because of his connection to Spock. So, like, it even shows that, and, you know, I'm not trying to call anything out to myself or you on there, that even after disappointment, tragedy, things like that, like, pressing on is like your only option, and sometimes that ends up in a better outcome than you even expected. So
Yes. I
could have.
I would think that Strange New Worlds hits on the consequences more of life than what other Star Treks have done. Granted, like you still have situations within the other Star Treks where there are the consequences of life. Tasha Yar being unalived, Jadzia Dax being unalived.
So she could be on Becker. Who watches
that
Becker?
that didn't work out. Uh, I mean, you do see these instances that are more bittersweet, but it's still like at the end of every series, it's still like a well, they live happily ever after. They go on to do this X, Y, and Z and whatnot. Because like even Worf has some solace, even after like what he's lost over
Yeah,
the years, and even with Riker and Deanna Troy, like they end up getting married and didn't have a child that they lose, but still have another child, and like they move forward, like still holding on to that pain. They still have that pain there, but like they learn to move forward and move past and go forward with the rest of their life. So that's what I feel like this series is trying to do. It's trying to put you more in that, like, you're in this universe, things can happen. This happened, and they're moving forward, though. And that's what you saw at the ending with Pike, because I mean, he's depressed.
yeah.
For all intents and purposes, he is depressed. What he was showing was one of the main signs of depression, and not knowing how to come out of that.
What, not being able to talk about it, or
Not well, not the well. When Una asked him to, did he want to talk about it? Like it was still too fresh. It was still
yeah.
like that was still too fresh. And,
Which, by
and
the
even
way,
I said at that moment, it's just like, nah, that's too soon.
which by the way, given the way this episode ends, which we're not quite at, but I'll say it now just for time purposes.
I'm like, we might as well get it now.
I love how much of this episode is resolved over like whiskey and bourbon. There's a lot of drinking at the end of this episode, and I'm like, yep, y'all have earned
it
every bit of these drinks
it can help. It can help. It
in the
won't
right
necessarily
proportion.
fully take away the pain, but it can help in that moment.
You still need to focus on your mental health, but yeah, like if you need to pour a glass, don't unless you're an alcoholic.
Yeah.
But if you
Oh yeah,
need to
yeah.
pour a
Unless you're
glass,
alcoholic, don't do that.
yeah, and don't drink and drive. Do not come to this
100%.
episode and say we said pour a glass and then get in a car. No, we are not saying that.
Not at all.
Pour a glass at home and then go to bed.
But like,
Oh, okay.
I do feel like that this episode did a pretty good job of pointing out, like, just how effective this particular situation was on Pike, and you saw that at the end.
Definitely. Let me. You want me to get there real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, wrap it up.
Okay. Because yeah, everything is like pretty much resolution at this point. We get back to the battle. To your point, a criticism of the episode, Patel solves it in like 5 seconds
Yeah, yeah,
and wraps everything up, and she becomes a statue for all time. She, I guess, Sci Fanatic said it this way, but sacrifices herself. But we knew what she was going to become like since the middle of the episode. The people on the planet are safe again, and Corby is off exploring again. I think that sets him on his trajectory to end up in robotics and with androids, which will come back when we do our TOS rewatch.
that part makes more sense now that you pointed that out.
Okay, yeah. Kirk and Spock, they play chess, and there's a reference to the situationship because Lon shows up while they're playing chess, and I'm like, what happened on that moon? Because they keep talking about what happened
on that moon.
Sounds like it got weird. It sounds like it got weird, real weird, weirder than a simple Baptist boy like myself would like like it too.
I did love one part about that, where she was like, "You're ready," and he was like, "Yes," and then Kirk was like, "Dancing lessons," and she was like, "Oh God, the mind meld." He was like, pointing to his brain like a steel trap. I love that part.
That made me wonder, like, how intense is a mind melt? So does Kirk, for lack of a better way to say it, does Kirk know what it's like to,
We'll
be
get onto
with her?
that when we do that episode. That's all I was saying.
You're ready to wrap this one up.
Because that would be
I don't
another
disagree.
10, 15-minute conversation.
So Spock leaves, and then another blue shirt shows up, which I won't lie, for a second I thought was going to be Bones, because I guess I'm looking for Bones in every episode, but it's
I
Sam.
think so someone pointed out that each season is to introduce a new character that will ultimately be on Kirk's Enterprise. So this season was about Scotty. So I knew that they
okay.
weren't going to introduce another one. So Bones will probably be introduced in the next season, or probably in the 5th season,
Or maybe Sulu.
or Sulu. Yeah. We all know that Chekhov doesn't come until season 2 of TOS.
We had to iterate into Chekhov for, I guess, Cold War reasons
Yeah.
back in the 60s. Yeah.
So
So,
we do know that at least we feel like Bones and Chekhov, not Bones and Sulu, will be introduced probably within the next 2 seasons. So when I
And
saw the blue
Skydance?
shirt, I was like, "Oh, that's his brother."
yeah.
As soon as they sat down, I was like, "Oh, that's a good moment. I love that."
Yep. Because it's also during the speech about, like, how much you can love someone and then one day they're not,
There,
you don't get to see them forever. Like, yeah, like, it was really good knowing what happens to Sam. Even though I hope they fix it. I'm always about
they will.
people just being comic book unalive.
They
But
will,
yeah,
and
no,
they should.
Sam Fry. But we love Sam.
No,
Screw it.
There's a reason to have finite passings in shows. Like there are certain times where it needs to be permanent.
Yeah. Uncle Ben.
It'd be like Uncle
Bruce
Ben
Wayne's
coming
parents.
back. Yeah.
So Sam and Kirk have a drink. Sam and Jim have a drink. I'm going first name and nickname. Pike and Una have a drink. And Pike was hoping it was real. He went and checked his apron. But it was.
It, oh, that, oh,
And he ends his speech with, like, maybe it's real because it's in my memory. And I'm like, part of me's like, maybe it was real because it was real. It just was on an alternate timeline. Problem is it messes with the time travel conversation we had before the bathroom break. For me to be like, there are alternate timelines. So I'm jumping back and forth with what I want to happen. But
see,
it how awesome would have been if he had put the apron down and it said Chef Pike.
Chef Pike.
But it was much more impactful.
It
That
was
it didn't
more
say
impactful
it.
for it not to say it on there.
Yeah,
Because it was like, it showed that, yes, what happened was not what really occurred. Because they try to give you that glimmer of hope, like, okay, maybe part of it was true, and then it's like, throw it down. No.
but it's real to what he said there. It's real because he knows it and he lived it. Like,
Same thing with Captain Picard with Inner Light.
yeah, but that was an hour. We'll get to it when we get there. Pike walks on the bridge, and this is when you realize that you kind of expect them to have an inspirational speech, and once again, they subvert expectations. Um, and the people who kind of carry him through this moment are his team.
His team.
Are the people that
His
he put
friends,
together.
his comrades, the people
They realize that
are
yeah.
always there for you to bring you out of that funk you're in.
Yeah, he's only able to make that walk to the captain's chair because Ortega's like, "Hey, I think I found a planet," and Spock's like, "Hey, it seems like it'd be a good opportunity to investigate," or whatever he said. And Nuna's like, "Yeah, come on over," and like,
Is this a punch it moment? Is this
yeah, is this a hit it moment? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like they're all kind of reminding him like,
who you are?
hey, this is who you are, but they're not forcing it on him, where it's like, hey, just be yourself, just be what you were before. They all know that he's changed. They're just like, hey, remember this? We can explore over here, and you can tell me to go to warp. And he gives different answers. He's like, go as fast as you want and do this, and he doesn't say hit it to kind of show that like he's not quite really like ready, but like he's ready to be supported, which I think is
Exactly. He is
a really cool thing.
he is better as someone who's been through a traumatic situation life wise, and I won't broadcast this on the internet, but
Well,
like
remember, I'm also in my 40s, so I've also been through a traumatic situation. So
you do within those traumatic situations you lose a part of yourself um that made you. It's and a lot of times at this juncture it can go one of two ways. It could either go the way of you bouncing back, remembering that part of yourself and becoming back whole again and moving forward, or you could just completely lose that altogether, then spiral into, I mean, we've seen it a lot of times with like a lot of craziness that's happened within this world where, people have done things that are like not great. And it's a spiral that you go down and you forget or you lose yourself of the person that you made. Like for me, it's the love of people. Like I love people regardless of whether they are uh, a great human being or not. Like I still ultimately love people, and that's what I had to remind myself after the fact, and that's what my friends had to bring me out of. Like had to remind me of the person that I once was. So what they were trying to do in that moment was trying to remind him of the person that he once was, why he is the way that he is, the Captain Pike that they know and love. Like, yes, this situation is going to change him for the rest of his life. It is. But they're trying to show him that you could push past this and go forward and move forward.
And Battelle shows him that because the comet comes through, and he notices it, and it's like she set that whole thing up so that it's like, here's your crew, here's me saying, hey, leave the system, and it's a beautiful thing that
It
they do
is.
for him at the end of the day. And you're right, after traumatic situations, it's easy to forget why you're here and what you're doing. And for us in the real world, it takes quite a bit of time, often,
Oh yeah.
to kind of
Oh yeah.
to kind of get back to it. But like at some point, he's going to be Captain Pike on the bridge saying "hit it," and it's just going to mean something different to him when he gets back to that point. But he's going to have to work his way back there because he lost his boo. His boo's a statue
I
on the
believe
planet now.
ultimately he's going to learn from this particular situation. He's ultimately going to learn, which is what Patel was trying to teach him, was that enjoy the moments
Yeah.
because you're not going to always have these. Enjoy the great moments while they are there.
Hey,
So,
and this is
mm-hmm,
honestly for me. This is why when I'm around my family and I'm around you and my friends and
mm-hmm,
whoever, my mentality, even though I'm like, you know me, I'm super analytical, strategist person, like lawyer, all that stuff. Like, there's a part of me that's just like, let the good times roll.
yeah,
Just let them roll and just
yeah.
focus and be in the moment with them because absolutely this is what you're going to be needing to remember when you're trying to be a person again.
Some of the
Like,
best parts of life.
yeah. So I'm always like, I was just in at the University of Tennessee for a football game, and like my anxiety was down and things like that. I was just like, just let the good times roll, just
Mm-hmm.
let them roll, just enjoy this
Unlike
game.
being a Buccaneers fan, where every game gets down to the very last drive and you almost have a heart
But
attack.
you always win, so let the good times roll. Just
It's
enjoy it.
okay. The first 2 week wins were just like yes, because it's like those could have gone either way. But the Jets win today was just like it should not have come down to that.
You're like, now it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
But
Well, you know, as a
we're
Titans fan, I would love to just even
that.
know what
I,
victory smells like. Just to
I'm
be in
sorry.
the aftershave,
I'm
the
sorry.
backwash of victory would be
I'm sorry.
would be great.
Well, with all that said and done, um, I don't know if your score fluctuated from this conversation or not. Uh, I've definitely come down to a more definite score of this
Okay.
episode. So, what do you give this episode, Patrick?
Well, it's hard for me because
Mm-hmm.
on emotions alone, I was 10. I was
Mm-hmm.
on 10
Tugs
in
at your
my
heartstrings.
feelings
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the episode. When we talked about it, even when I was on 10 in my emotions, I had the voice in the back of my head being like, yeah, but this, yeah,
But
but
this,
that.
but
And I was
this,
just
but
kind of
that.
like,
Mm-hmm.
you're being overly critical. But the more I talked about it, I was like, man, those are actually pretty fair criticisms. I don't know what to do with this episode. I might even revise my score when I hear your score. I don't, you know me, I don't tend to be follow the leader like that. I tend to be my
I
own,
understand.
my own thing. But I'm a little bit lost,
I guess
to be honest with you.
I guess what I would say this. Will you or will you not watch this episode again?
That's why I knew when I finished it, it can't be a 10. My initial score was a 10, but I was trying to figure out how to explain how I could have a 10 that I wouldn't watch again.
Mm-hmm. See.
And I should have known at that point, I was like, this is not a 10. And honestly, it's not a 9 either. I am down to an 8. And I
That is
think
fair.
8 is the right score for it And I don't think I'm overly, given what we talked about at the top of the episode about it being a season finale. I don't think I'm grading it as a season finale, and like being overly harsh on it. I think it's an 8 episode. If it's on, it'd be one of those episodes where I'm like, I'm gonna be sad at the end of it.
But you'll still watch it.
I could still watch, or I could skip it. I don't feel like being sad today. Like I don't need to be
Oh
in my
yeah,
feelings like
yeah,
that today.
yeah, yeah. Kind of like a
Like,
Seven Pals situation.
yeah, exactly,
Great
exactly.
movie, but man, I did.
I'm not trying to mess my whole day up thinking, especially, and I want to come back to this again, like not to complain about a single, but as a single person who's like it feels like an alternate future where it feels like you have the kid and the kid that gets engaged and to grow into old age with someone that you love and stuff, and it just feels just totally alternate timeline. It's like I can't be in my feelings today about that. I gotta stick to the grind.
I feel you.
Like, I'm gonna skip this.
I feel you on that. So what I will say at the beginning, my score was an 8 out of 10. It was.
Ooh,
After
did we?
talking about it, my score did go down. So, and part of this could be on the fact that I am grading this within the pantheon of all the other season finales, and this was by far the weakest season finale that they've done. Granted, there's been 3 at this point, but so
Now,
far,
before you say this,
uh-huh.
what would you have graded Shades of Grey?
Shades of Grey. Oh, you gotta. Oh, which episode was that?
Season 2 TNG ending, the clip episode.
Oh God. Oh. I skipped that episode on every rewatch.
No
Every
wonder you
rewatch.
didn't remember it. I thought you were
There,
going to start laughing hysterically right when I said
no,
that. So
no,
I'm
I
like, does he
skip
not
it
remember
because
this
I'm just
episode?
like, like it was. And when I found out why that episode was the way that it was, I was like, oh, that makes a whole lot of sense, because that episode was not great. Granted, just like my brother doesn't like musicals, I hate clip episodes. Hate them.
Yeah.
Hate them. Hate them. You do. I do not need an episode where you're showing me other episodes, stuff that happened in other episodes that I've already watched. Like, there's no point of this. Why are you doing this? Stop it. Stop it. This is lazy. Stop it.
Exactly. I agree.
uh,
But sorry, I cut you off there. Go,
but
go ahead.
going on the path of like Strange New Worlds season finales, this was the weakest. And but it wasn't to the point where I would say that I would not watch this episode again. If the episode came on, I was sitting down and watching it, like I would watch it. Granted, like what you said, I would probably have to be in a certain space to be able to watch it and not feel utterly depressed right afterwards.
The kind of depression where even like alcohol and weed doesn't help. Like
Yeah, yeah,
that's where you could be left
yeah.
in this.
So I had to give it a 7 out of 10 because of the inconsistencies, the writing, the areas where you felt like they could have explained just a little bit more for it to make more sense. Areas where I felt like they could have went longer. The fight at the end. It I truly felt like the writers were not in sync with this particular episode. And I'm saying this with how it was cut, because there could have been a lot of stuff that they did shoot that would have done exactly what we were talking about. And it could have been the director and the producer at the end that cut a lot of these scenes and cut it in a way that it truly like missed out certain things. So I will say that I will give in that particular style of grace, but with what was presented, it was the weakest episode, probably. Uh, weak. It was definitely the weakest season finale episode. Wasn't the weakest episode of this season, thank God. But it was one of them.
Yeah, I think, and we're gonna do at some point. I'm not gonna commit us to anything, but we're gonna do a recap at some point. But I think the weakest episode was the couple episodes ago where we were like,
Episode, I think it was episode 9. The
yeah, oh, it was
Ortegas.
episode 9. Yeah, yeah, I think we both landed on that. And there were a couple of episodes I graded lower than this, just on my biases for zombie and second parter
Yeah.
episodes.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
That I think you graded higher. But no, I agree. I kind of wish that this was swapped with the episode where Kirk, Spock, Chapel, and Scotty
Mm.
were on the Farragut trying to figure
Mm-hmm.
out how to stop the
Mm-hmm.
scavenger ship.
Mm-hmm.
Like it might not have not made sense as a season finale because it didn't wrap up a bunch of storylines. It was just like pure entertainment and exciting, but I think that's okay. And I think this could have been like, but I guess they would have had to write how is Pike getting over this because there's not ship counselors on the ship. So I don't know. It's a little messy, but I get what you're
Well,
saying.
we have time to talk about that because I do want to do a full season recap and for us to talk in length of how we felt about the season, things they could have done good, things they could have done wrong, things that they did good, things that they did wrong, things they could have like done this instead of this, so on and so forth. And I'm hoping to try to get my brother in for that episode as well.
Oh, and
So
also the judge. We could do.
we can do a four man.
Yeah, because we've all seen it. They both beat
Yeah,
us
which is
to
funny.
finishing the season.
So I I do want to do that in the future, but I do want to wrap up this episode because we have gone longer than we have on other episodes, which is what the writers of this episode should have done. Um,
It is the season finale. We did our part.
I'm not going to belabor that point though. Um, as I said earlier, I did want to end this particular episode on a different Captain Picard quote, and we are going to do that right now.
There are some words I've known since I was a schoolboy. With the first link, the chain is forged. The first speech censured, the first thought forbidden, the first freedom denied, chains us all irrevocably. Those words were uttered by Judge Aaron Satie.
And of course, after that, she loses her crap. Which is one of my favorite parts of the episode.
I'm gonna love it when we get to that episode. We're gonna talk about that. We might as well start at like
that episode,
8 o'clock in the morning.
We're gonna do like
talking
5
about that
hours of
episode.
talking about that episode. That's the Drumhead is such a great episode. Oh my god! But we're gonna end this right here with this series of seasons. Excuse me, I keep saying series, but season finale of Star Trek: Strange New World season 3. Join us next time. We hope to have. Hopefully, we won't take too long to do the full season recap, but hopefully that will be next week. But depending on how life is, we'll do that. Of course, like, comment, and subscribe. Do all those things. Help us to get more eyes on this particular channel. And you all have a wonderful, glorious, and beautiful week.